Hello.
Just
Right, so that's everybody.
I am having problems, apparently.
Well, we knew that already, Dave, but what specific problems are you having?
With Forge.
It's not
It
like... I
keeps on-
notice it keeps kicking
No.
you out.
Yes, it keeps on saying the Forge is not responding.
Okay.
Every time I bring up Sirenscape.
Maybe they're competing. I mean, at the end of the day, Sirenscape is a nice little add-on to have, but the priority, of course, goes to Foundry, so we'll see how you do. But if they up... Plus, you've also got Discord up, and Discord can be very greedy with a bandwidth hogging sometimes, so we'll give you a moment or two.
I'm not gonna touch. I'm not gonna touch.
Sirenscape?
Yeah.
Okay. It was very important you finished that sentence.
Oh no, it's not Sirenscape. It's
Yeah, it kicked... No, it's not Sirenscape.
Forge is having a bit of a meltdown.
Well, I can see you now. You're loaded into the landing page.
I won't be in a minute.
But yes, I notice your cursor isn't moving, so it seems like you are having... Oh, there we go.
I'm gonna reset my computer. I will be back in a minute.
Okay, no problem. In that case, that'll buy us enough time to roll the intro and do the plugs. So, before I do that, is everybody else successfully connected into Foundry, and is everybody else who wants to successfully connected to Sirenscape?
Yep.
Spiffy.
Hello.
So, let me turn off the rumble and the intro music, and I will throw us over to the intro video, and we'll be back in just a mo, folks. See you in a couple of seconds. Hello everybody, and welcome to the continuing adventures of the USS Combs, and with me are the vast majority of the crew. Except, of course, for Dave, who hasn't come back in yet because he's resetting his machine, as you may or may not have heard. So in the meantime, we will get through the usual introductions, like myself. I am MJ the GM, and I will be your Games Master for this session. And we have a couple of plugs to do, as per usual. So first off, Mr. Powell.
Hello.
Anything new from you? Yes, I noticed there is something new from you.
There is something new from me at last. Yes, I just released 2 weeks ago, which is new for me. I just released the Jack and Daxter Having a Mosey review. Ended up being a little bit longer than I anticipated, but I just like talking about video games, I guess. So that's out now. Please feel free to check that out. And then in the short-term future, hopefully, there'll be another video coming out on Yakuza 0. And I'm also celebrating. I just crossed 400 subscribers the other day, so thank you for anyone who helped me with that. But yeah, that's me for now.
400. Well done, my boy. Well done indeed. So there we are. There's the channel. There's the link. There's the vids. Mr. Bell.
Yeah. We've wrapped up the first series of Solarity now, but I'm still going to plug it anyways, because hopefully we get a second series, and so this is my way of saying, please listen to it. I also have a new one out. There's a new series called Legends of Campion. The second episode of that dropped last week, and I play a goblin bartender. And I have to say there is a bit of a Star Trek connection, because I had Quark in my head when I did the auditions. Although I actually sound more like Billy Crystal in the Princess Bride.
Ublave!
Like you like storming the castle.
I just got to imagine you painted green with pointy ears now, and it's kind of weird. I got to.
And shorter.
And
same sort of thing. Money-minded. I don't care who's drinking as long as they pay their tab.
Fun.
So it's called Legends of Campion, the Genesis era. I'm in the second episode, and I'm the first voice you hear after the intro.
Hey.
Oh, hello.
Yep, that sounds like a Dave rejoining us.
Yes.
Excellent.
It's working at the moment. We'll see. How things go.
We will see indeed how we go.
There actually was a Ferengi in Princess Bride, wasn't there? Inconceivable!
Yes, the Grand Nagus himself.
Yes, indeed. Sean Wallace.
Yes, I do believe. Frighteningly smart man, apparently. But not frightening in an intimidating way. If you have read, and this is me plugging somebody else's work, and I'm not sponsored whatsoever by Carey Elwes, but the book the kind of autobiography he wrote about his experiences on the Princess Bride, I think it's called As You Wish, I can't quite remember. It's a really fun read, and yeah, it's really eye-opening.
He is apparently going to be in the Knuckles series.
Okay.
Yep.
He has got a very distinctive voice.
As well as Christopher Lloyd.
Interesting.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Say Knuckles, as in like Sonic and Knuckles.
As in Sonic and Knuckles. As in Idris Elba voice acting Knuckles? Okay then.
Yep.
Idris Elba rarely, I mean, with Luther being the obvious exception, rarely seems to return for repeated performances if he can, unless he really, really likes what he's doing. So,
same for Jim Carrey, and he's coming back for the third Sonic film as well. So.
Yes, indeed. So that's
his first ever trilogy.
Interesting.
What's it like in the play? It's like when Sonic hits 88 miles an hour. Travels in time.
From what I've heard, it's going to be Knuckles' dad that he's playing. But if you played Sonic Adventure, you'll recognise the character himself. He's like the chief of the Echidna clan. In the game, basically, he gets killed off by Chaos.
Spoilers!
God.
Dudes, yeah.
The game's over 20 years old, man.
Still! I blotted it out of my brain, thank you, and now I've just been wounded there again. God!
But in this case, Christopher Lloyd is basically playing Knuckles' dad.
Okay.
Which could be interesting considering, Knuckles is supposed to be the last of his.
Maybe it's a whole Mufasa type thing. He looks up into the clouds and there he is. Anyway, that's enough of us plugging other people's work. Let's actually get to our own piece of licensed work.
Great
Scott! Or in this case, Great Scotty. I'll get my coat.
Great Scott.
I was about to say, what do you mean plugging other people's stuff? What do you think I've been doing for the last how many weeks? I didn't write my my stuff. I've just been voicing
Anywho's, let's get on with why other folks came here today, which is the continuing adventures of the Combs, especially because, due to illnesses and other such stuff, we had to miss last week, so... And because people were absent the week before, we didn't want to leave folks out of the loop. So this has actually been delayed by about 2 weeks, so folks are no doubt wanting to know what happens next, so let's get to it. So if we recall, last time we were here, the Combs had been given a mission by Admiral Hebert to try and find out what it was that was at the coordinates that Admiral Stoker had been scrawling on the walls of her cell. Admiral Stoker, of course, having previously taken command of the Combs' missions in order to try and keep on investigating the strange stuff that's going on within the Shackleton Expanse, at least with regards to the continued reappearance of this lost alien civilization. At the very least, whose technology seems to still be active in the region. Admiral Stoker was also very vehement that there were elements potentially within Starfleet and the Federation that were looking to stop, slow down, or sabotage, just to get a bit of alliteration in there, any of said attempts to uncover whatever strangeness is going on within the Shackleton Expanse. She spoke of people who had been, what's the word I'm looking for? Diagnosed. You need to get that on a t-shirt for me. What's the word I'm looking for? If there's something I do frequently, it's forget actual words. I have yet to forget who I am. Who are you guys again? That's just a joke from me. Moving on. Swiftly, before the viewership goes down even further. Stoker mentioned that people who had been diagnosed as schizophrenic or suffering from similar psychosis were actually being disappeared after she had spoken with them in order to try and see if there was any correlation with these people getting hallucinations and speaking in different languages and scrolling down quantum calculations and whatnot. But now Stoker herself has started falling prey to such things, so Admiral Hebert wanted to finally find out whether or not there was anything to Stoker's ramblings, and so asked the Combs to go to the coordinates that Stoker had been repeatedly scrawling on her cell in order to see what's there, and you found a planet and a moon, the moon of which was covered in cities. Looked like a very big industrial civilization, advanced industrial civilization, but when you got there, there was no sign of life. The Combs did get momentarily knocked out by a solar flare coming from the system's star, so that's a threat that's potentially on the cards if you remain for too much longer. But eventually, the interference from the system's star, as well as a bit of interference in the atmosphere of the moon, meant that the best way to go down to the planet's surface was via shuttlecraft. So it was elected to take your fancy Klingon scout ship, the Guicha, down to the surface instead. And so we had our away team go down to the planet, where they found that the planet for the majority was covered in these strange techno-organic vines that seem to spread everywhere and infiltrate everything. But of course, of keynote that I neglected to mention before all this was that Admiral Stoker was brought along in the Combs brig in order to keep her close but also keep her confined. But after the system started coming back online, after you restored them from the coronal mass ejection that hit the ship, Admiral Stoker was beamed off the ship onto the planet below, which is the primary reason you have gone down. Her pattern kept getting shifted between 4 or 5 different points, and so the only way with any reliability to get down there was by the Guicha. And you have made your way to the center of the planet's surface, central building, I should say, on the planet's surface, which was emitting this pulsating thrum of power. And it seems to be the destination or origin point of all of these biomechanical vines that have gone out in the place. So, as such, we have the away team consisting of Security Chief Garrow, Lieutenant Commander Flesk, Lieutenant Gurkow, the recent addition to your crew, who's your xenoarchaeologist, Lieutenant Turin, Chief Engineer Tavish, and Dr. Sott being the away team. Technically, Commander Hopkins is on the away team as well, but elected to stay with the Guichar just in case it was needed in a pinch. Going inside of the central complex, our away team found that they had to navigate very carefully around all these various vine-like things, which are apparently very sharp. And as well as finding a mummified corpse, which had itself been infiltrated by bits of techno filaments. We finally, at the end of the last episode, last session I should say, came across a large circular chamber which had a number of these really thick metallic fibers sticking out of the walls, forming a kind of circle, an enmeshed circle globe in the middle, out of which Admiral Stoker was poking her upper torso, reaching for you all and mouthing the words, "Help me." That was pretty much where we left things off. So, before we dive into it, was there anything I neglected to mention? Is there any questions anybody has got? I'm going to take that as a no.
Me?
So then, let's just...
I actually had one, but I was on mute. Sorry.
That's quite alright.
I'm just trying to remember, did I take anything from the corpses?
Well, thankfully, there's only one corpse. But I do believe someone investigated it, at least at a semi-autopsy. And I do believe somebody took samples from it. I neglect to remember who. Hey, if anybody on chat...
I looked this huge one I've taken. It's now a weapon, as well as a sample.
That was it, you tore the arm off.
Pretty much.
So, yes. Okay, so we've got a sample of the humanoid that we came across, the mummified humanoid, and we're now looking... The majority of the away team are now looking down this rather large circular chamber. Stoker is, at the very least, wearing what appears to be some kind of strange agglomeration of wires and technology that seems to be keeping her alive, because, as we've previously stated in the last session, the atmosphere here is mostly chlorine gas, and therefore anybody wants to be able to breathe, they need to be in their EVA suit. But Stoker is buried pretty much up to her chest in all of these wires, so getting her out looks like it might be job one, but getting over there is also going to be tricky. Now, scattered throughout the walls of this chamber are these notches and nodules, from some of which these long, thick cables are penetrating out into the central mass, or the other way around. It's not exactly easy to tell. Occasionally, the central mass twitches a bit, and that kind of causes like a guitar strum effect to go across the wires, and they do vibrate. At the moment, that's all the activity that appears to be going on. The rest of the installation that you're currently stood in, you've tried some of the control consoles, and there's no power. But the power that is there seems to be either strumming into or emanating out of this central ball of whatever. So, my question to you now is, what do you do next?
Start looking on these wires to make a great tune.
Now, as I noted before,
what's this?
coming through here... hold on to that, Mark, and we'll get to you. Don't lose it. But just as a reminder, getting to this area, you had to dodge past a couple of these things, of these wires that intersect, and one of you, I believe it was Garrow, potentially, caught his suit's glove on one of these wires, and they are actually very sharp. They can be they can cut you. So you have to be careful. Yes, Mark?
This sort of glowing thing. No, don't move the hole. Yeah, I'll go over there. This thing. Is it just a light, or does it do something?
It looks like it used to be... The power source of this technology isn't terribly obvious. It looks like it used to be at some point some kind of power conduit or something. But right now, though, any controls that it has on this kind of techno-organic panel that you're seeing in front of you are not responding to anything. So even if Flask does start trying to push buttons, turn dials, or whatever these things, these strange squishy nodules are, it's not yielding any visible result. It's not entirely clear why, but you do notice more of these kind of smaller filaments do infiltrate a lot of the technology around here.
Okay. Can we safely navigate to Stoker? Or
Well,
how close can we get before it's a problem?
Well, some of these larger wires do kind of intersect with each other, so it's essentially like a wire-made rope bridge. It's possible to get over. It's not going to be easy, but it looks like it should be possible.
Okay.
Yeah, because I can see a doorway on the other end. I want to try and get there, but if it's safe to navigate there. I'm trying to look. I want to look for a control panel. I want to turn it off.
Okay.
I want to find a way to turn it off because I don't think we're going to be able to cut through these cables. I don't like the fact that there's holes that looks like where more of these things will protrude from. So I want to try and walk around the outside of it.
Okay, the difficulty with that is that the only visible kind of semi-walkway is this darkened bit that I'm touching, and the whole thing is very smooth. If you do lose your footing, chances are you are going down.
Do we have the anti-grav sled?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, you do.
I'm just saying.
So there's good news and bad news in that regard, yes. So, so yes, you do have the anti-grav sled. It's basically like, a small cart without wheels. So on the bottom of this sled, there are basically a couple of small graviton emitters that are basically anti-grav impellers. But the thing with the anti-grav sled is that the way these things are designed are basically so that you can propel them without, meeting any kind of resistance on floors and stuff. So it's essentially an anti-grav sled is set to like hover a certain number of inches or feet above the ground. It's not supposed to be used as an actual it's not a hoverboard, as it were. You could totally surf it down the decline of the chamber.
No,
but using it to actually float across at a set height is not exactly what it was designed for.
No, not a set height, but because it wouldn't matter about friction, because it's smooth and you might slip. Just checking, how big was the sample from the corpse that Gurkha took? Because didn't she want to take a whole arm?
Yeah, I believe she did.
So,
are we rowing across?
If I was to sit on it like a toboggan and use the arm to nudge along the wall to keep a safe distance without slipping down it, is that a possible way to get to the other side?
Ooh, I like the thinking. Now, whether or not anybody else lets Flesk have the fun
Well, no, however many of us we can fit on this. Cause
Well,
I
it is
wanna
going to be
find
only one person that could conceivably sit on the thing. Because the
two standing.
2 standing, potentially, yes.
I feel like it needs more than one. And my first choice, if we're going to random technology, Tavish would be my first choice.
Alright, so it
To get
looks like
across.
Flesk and Tavish are going to be taking a very interesting route around the periphery using the anti-grav sled.
But that doesn't answer how are we going to get Stoker out. Although, she seems busy. Maybe we just leave her.
I'd like to point out I don't have my
Got 2 EVA suits for some reason.
Oh no, yeah. There's a reason for that.
Oh yeah, because you were carrying one for Stoker. That was it.
Yes. I haven't got my I can't remember what it's called now. My engineering tricorder. Yeah, it blew up.
No, you don't, because what was his name? Gerald.
What?
The tricorder. That was your favourite engineering tricorder.
Yeah, Gerald. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember if it was Gerald.
Oh no. So we don't need the tricorder as much as the hyper spanner and toolkit, because we've still got my regular tricorder, which will have to.
Yeah, but it's not Gerald.
I know.
And it'll never be Gerald, but nevertheless,
No,
okay.
When you name your tools, it's a problem.
Don't worry. Don't worry. Back on the ship, I've got a spare one. I call it Gerald 2, Electric Boogaloo. Okay, so we're going around to the opposite side. Yes.
The other side.
Because I'm thinking that I could just looking at the floor. I think it's the floor. There's those round blobs, and that's where these wires are protruding. I don't like the idea of getting close to one of those, and that wire, razor sharp wire, comes and says hello.
Tavish is just going to say, I would like to point out that this was Flesk's idea, not mine, for the record.
In event of things going wrong, the hat of blame has now firmly been passed. Okay.
You see,
Gotcha.
one of my values is there's always a tool for every problem, and desperation breeds inspiration. This is at my core.
But you're the lieutenant commander. You're in charge of us at the moment because
God, yeah.
Yes, you are second officer, so...
I'm probably feeling a lot more confident as well, not due to experience on going on more missions. It's the fact that it's so clean in here.
Yeah.
It's chlorine. So I'm not nervous and anxious about, all sorts of things, because it's completely sterile. So I'm feeling comfortable to come up with more adventurous ideas.
I see. Alright then. Okay, so whilst those two are going to be going on their little toboggan adventure, what are the rest of you going to be doing?
Oh,
I'm gonna pull up a chair, get my popcorn.
Take bets on how far they get across before they fall? Okay, I got you.
Now, have we scanned Admiral Stoker?
You haven't been able to get... Now, I will remind folks that the reason Gerald exploded was that you found that there's such an aura of charged energy in the air that all your various bits of technology have been acting as if they've been supercharged.
Gotcha.
So, nobody has consulted too much in regards... I think actually, no, you did scale back the power on these things, so you could technically...
Yeah, Tavish managed to work out how to do it.
Yeah.
So,
So, from this distance, you're not sure whatever's going on in the middle of that big ball of wire is confusing your tricorder's sensors. You'd have to get closer to Stoker in order to determine her current state of health.
so we could climb on them, these wires.
It looks
right?
like it's possible, yeah. It might be a bit of a, like I said, like a rope ladder kind of walk, the kind of thing you see at children's playgrounds.
Yeah, but aren't these wires like razor sharp?
Well, they are quite thick, so as long as you walk very carefully. But yes, obviously, if you slip, then you run the risk of shredding your suit. So it's possible, but it's also.
Also, is Chris quiet for anybody else?
Yes.
No, what? Sorry, me or
Me.
Owl.
No, Chris P.
Yeah. You sound a bit distant, my dude.
See what I can do.
Thank you. Mr. Bell, you sound fine, according to my headphones, anyhow.
okay.
Is this any better?
That is.
Yes, that is a lot better.
Sure, I'll knock it down a little bit then.
We want to hear your voice.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Alright.
Just another question then. These wires, they may be sharp, but can we, like, I see some of us still have spears on. Can we sort of, like, use them as, I don't know what the technical term for it, but, you know, like, I don't know, toilet plungers where you're trying to climb up a building.
So, okay. You can certainly try and use the technology at your that you have available to you to aid your path across. Certainly, even if it is simple tech. Some of you who do have spears, you can use them as counterbalances, like a tightrope walker's balance.
Oh, yeah, I've still got the spear, haven't I?
I mean, why you would have brought a spear, but because it's there in your inventory, let's just go with. Let's just go with it.
Because they forgot to clean out their inventories for the next episode.
Quite.
Nah, you've not read the thing I renamed the spear to.
The spear of cleanliness.
Cleanliness.
Don't forget that Dr. Sot is still packing like that Romulan disruptor pistols. I'm going to delete that quietly. It's not canon, it's not there anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Forget the fact that this session is being recorded. I might have to go back and mute this later on. Otherwise, so Starfleet will never know. No, that's fine. So you have things. If you have things in your inventories that you think will aid in your being able to go get across this place, then absolutely, I'm all for it.
I got a spare spear.
Yes, you do. That was the one Garrow made himself. It's Garrow's spear.
Take good care of it. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
All right then.
Garrow not climbing.
We will call him Little Garrow.
Good night, everybody.
I feel like we're in Full Metal Jacket at this very moment in time.
Yeah. Hence why I said the.
Yeah. I now have the "This is my weapon, this is my gun" song going through my head. Or chant.
And now I do as well. Thanks. There we go. Yeah, that's fine. Star Trek. Do. There we go. I'm back. Technically, I can't do more than 4 seconds of that, but there we go. Alright then, so task 1 is going to be Flesk and Tavish somehow carefully manoeuvring this sled, which they are both standing on, almost like a gondola, across using a disembodied arm.
I mean, I did forget that I had the spear, so I could just use the butt of the spear. Yeah. Which makes way more sense than an arm.
When the moon hits the sky like a big pizza pie.
Tavish is gonna go, "Hey, this ain't a gondola. This ain't no romantic stuff. Leave me alone, Flesk."
Alright, so how are we going to do this? I'm going to say that for Flesk being the one who's steering this, this is going to be control And... Control and con, I'm gonna say. From a flask.
Oh, thank God.
I mean, Tavish can aid if she needs to, just, you know,
I would
quietly
say
nudge.
aid me, because I could use parent figure, but I think I might use a determination, because
Okay.
desperation breeds inspiration as a value, just to get another dice in there.
Does experimental technology the focus?
There's nothing experimental technology about this, I'm afraid. This is fairly standard, simple punting, I believe they call it.
Warp engines? No. Okay.
Okay, I know you're using an anti-grav sled, but how are you warping the space-time continuum in order to reaccount for the mass of the sled and yourselves on it? No! Warp engineering does not have anything to do with this.
Power
mean-
systems.
What have you got?
Using determination, it's still rolling 2 dice, it just gives me 1.
So yeah, rolling a determination, it will still count as rolling 2 dice, but using the point determination will automatically give you an extra dice that has already rolled a 1.
Okay, cool. Alright, so
So you don't have to put down 3. Yes, Connie?
Do they need an assist by having someone like push the anti-grav sled along?
Well, that's up to them, but at the moment, that's 1 success already from Tavish, and that's
Oh, wow.
6 successes, so nice. Nicely done. I just realised that, as usual, my momentum and threat counters have gone, and... Ooh, I left the Starship Rumble on. Or did I?
The Flesk Tavish team is just unstoppable.
no
You
matter
can
the
add-
mass, no
you can
matter
now
how
add-
ridiculous, we will
Yes.
do it.
Yes, we will.
Well, you can now add gondola punting to your list of skills that you've attempted. You fashioned your own primitive weapons.
Hold on. What's that sport where you have to throw a stone block on ice? What's it called?
Curling.
Curling. Yes,
That's
we're grav sled curling at this moment in time.
Well, that would
New
suggest that somebody else propelled you along, which would suggest Gurkhau's, and I use the term loosely, helping. By basically putting her boot up against the back of the sled and pushing. That would be curling, but for you it's more like gondola punting.
It's not like a sick Tokyo drift around the outer edge of the...
Well, with 6 successes, I'm going to go with yes, absolutely. So, over the course of the next couple of seconds, yes, the Flesk and Tavish do make it around to the other side. In the meantime, what are the rest of you doing? Are you going to attempt to traverse over to the middle?
Yep.
Okay. So let's see, how many of you are going? I mean, Turin could stay back just in case somebody needs help.
I feel like I should probably go in so I can see if she needs any probably needs some medical attention, to be
Okay. So,
I feel like that's Flesk and Tavish right now.
I've just seen that gift, and yes, thank you very much. That's indeed very good. I know you guys can't see it, but trust me, it's funny. Let's think then. You guys are going to need to balance your way across, so this suggests control. And I'm going to go with, because it's utilizing physical means and balance, this is going to be control and security. So in that regard, Garrow is probably your best bet to lead this, as he leads the way and shows you where to put your feet and which ones to grab onto for support and whatnot. And everybody else can assist.
Can I argue as well that I got survival, but I can use a survival focus here?
I will allow that, yes, because survival will include many skills like traversing areas difficult areas using what's available to you. So this isn't unlike the survival training courses that Garrow would have gone on. So absolutely do.
So I can roll 2 dice on that. Yep.
You can roll 2 dice on that, and then Sot and Gurkhau can roll 1 each to assist.
Alrighty.
Very good.
Okay, good. There we go. I was thinking, oh yeah, what's this? Ah!
Control security.
Okay, so Gurkow is like, yeah, but Garrow, you're all the way up there and my arms are all the way down here. How am I going to hold on to that? Sot, however, is a bit taller and therefore is able to reach the cabling a bit better. So, yeah, Garrow goes first. He puts his feet on it, tests how much it bows when you put your weight on it. Thankfully, these things are very thick and seem wound rather tightly, so they do take your weight. And you do proceed across very, very carefully. Gurkow does kind of have to grab onto Garrow for support, but that's no problem because Garrow got 3 successes and therefore is extraordinarily stable. And you are therefore able to traverse. So whilst these 3 guys are traversing very carefully, there's still more funny gifs going on in case you're wondering what all the badoops are. Back to Tavish and Flesk. Right, let me find out where you are. Okay. Tavish and Flesk, when you get to the other side, you do indeed see another chamber with a number of glowing, what look like, almost like reclined seats, almost like a stasis pod, but they're kind of like I'm using the word like an awful lot here. Like, dude. It's almost like a reclined chair, so you're reclined backwards, but you do have an elevated backrest, but they do appear to be consoles of sorts that you could use while you sit in this thing. Yeah, thank you. Like, very similar to something that you would see the engineers from the Alien franchise, I suppose.
Okay. Are you going to get in one and I get in one? Or
I think we should probably, try and
okay.
switch it off.
Okay. The controls are very much on what appear to be like the handrests, and they appear to be wide enough for each of you to be able to use with an individual hand. So whoever or whatever the species was that originally lived here were obviously, especially from the mummified corpse you came across, seem to be of a similar size to yourself. So thankfully it's not as if you're sitting in a giant's chair. But as soon as you do sit down, you kind of sink a little bit, but then the whole seat kind of remolds itself to your size, and it's kind of disconcerting for a moment, but then as soon as you settle into it, it's terribly comfortable. And a semi-holographic display kind of flickers into being in front of you. The display seems to be hologrammatical map of the moon itself.
Okay.
And it's showing on the map, you can make out glowing points if you look closely. So if you want to interact with the system, you can use reason or insight and science. This will have a difficulty of 0.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. Yeah, these are really
Comfy.
I don't know. Who's got the highest reason and science?
reason and science.
Or insight and science if you've got a higher insight.
I've got insight and reason are the same for me, 10-10, and then science is 5.
So reason is 10, science is 4.
So both of you are very reasonable.
Having just got on an anti-grav sled around an alien device, but yes. Yeah, tell you what, Tavis, do you want to go for it?
I hesitate to suggest that one or both of you may have gone whee as you went around, but you know.
I can neither confirm or deny this.
Debriefing to the captain later on may or may not contain the word. All right then. So, yep. Whoever wants to give it a try can give it a try.
Focuses.
Yes. 'cause
Computers
this is
will work.
Experimental computers. It's experimental technology for you because you don't know what this does.
Would it be experimental technology?
I will go with computers because this interface seems pretty simplistic actually and rather intuitive. Flask.
I'm going for the silly angle of experimenting
And
with technology.
and I was going to say these computer systems, even though simplistic and probably a little bit advanced, they're still really old. So my historical engineering comes in to it.
As a trait as well? Okay, fair enough.
Ah, nice.
I don't know what that does, but I'm just saying it.
You are holden to historical principles of engineering. Therefore, you are aware of where engineering principles come from and like the old school kind of stuff. Because it makes sense. Tavish likes to, hit things with hammers.
Yeah.
We've established this.
or hyperspanners.
So, so
do you want me
Flask
to-
doesn't really have a focus, so you may as well just go with this assist. Yes, Dave.
Yeah, I was going to say Tavish lead, Flesk assist. Then yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Oh, someone's at the door.
Oh, hello. Well, Flask is immediately able to use these things. So accessing these is no problem at all. So what you have come across here is obviously a hologrammatical map of the moon that you were currently on. The glowing points represent you guys. And you notice another point is further out, which would probably represent Hopkins, currently sat on the Gweecha. You can rotate the image. Additional points of light start to become obvious and are located just outside the dome, which would correspond to the current location of the Gweecha as well. So you've basically got access to a map of the place. What you notice, though, is that this map does not include the topography that you've seen now, which includes all of the wiring and the filaments that have spread throughout the place. So this seems to be a historical representation of what the place used to look like. For the most part, it's still the same. It just doesn't have all of the infiltration of these techno-organic filaments. But you can definitely make out where you guys are and where Hopkins and the Gweecha are in relation to this map. More than that, though, this doesn't seem to have much of a... you can't see anything that suggests the off switch. Which is
I
odd.
was going to say, can I do a Windows update to get a...
Well, you want to crash the system and make it unhelpful for everybody from here on in.
No, I wanted to go to Windows 27. Sure, we're around about there. And get a new... see if we can update the map, basically. That's what I want to do, update the map.
Okay, so you want to basically try and access its sensor systems and get a more accurate reading of. Okay, whilst you guys are doing that, then we'll move back to the crew who are making their way toward Stoker. So you guys have now managed to make it all the way across the gap, and you have found this terrifically dense mass of cables. She's pretty well enmeshed in it. So Garrow himself, I mean, let's put you guys closer to the actual former Admiral, whether or not she keeps her rank after all this is done. And Garrow's initial attempt to just spread the cables that are close to her to maybe try and pull her out is proving difficult. So brute force alone is likely not going to yield you what you want. So I'm going to suggest that what you need to do here is an extended task, which is what this sudden appearance represents. An extended task. So you're going to have to dedicate some time to extracting her. Now, Dr. Sott, being this close to her now, can confirm that this environmental mask she's been given to allow her to breathe seems to have been built out of the same techno-organic filaments that you've been coming across. Sadly, those techno-organic filaments seem to have infiltrated Stoker. Now, not to a tremendously dangerous level, but it will making extracting her a little bit more difficult than just parting the cables enough to pull her out. You're going to need to cut the cables, so this is going to be as much a delicate use of Sott's own surgical abilities to safely remove these things as it is going to be a brute force pulling the thing, cutting through the wires and filaments in order to get her physically removed. So it is definitely going to be a team effort. So, essentially, like I said, this is going to comprise a extended task with a work track that, I don't know if you can access the extended task or not, it doesn't really matter, but whoever wants to try something first can do so in order to start things off. So either Garrow or Gurkow can try cutting through or loosing some wires using maybe a handheld phaser, or using the spear to pry open a gap in the cabling. Whatever you think you might want to try doing.
I'm gonna try the spear first.
Okay. So that suggests to me a fitness and security test. This is going to be difficulty 3. As far as foci goes, I don't think we can blag survival at this point.
Okay.
So it's going to go on raw talent.
Okay. So I changed complication range to 3 then. Yeah.
No, that's complication rate. Well, now that you've mentioned it, I think I am going to spend threat to up the complication range. Thank you. The difficulty. The difficulty is 3, but the complication range is now increased by 1. So.
I don't want that.
Can I assist and spend a point of determination?
Sure. So this will represent Gurkow and Garrow working on the same kind of physical problem of leverage and that kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you use one of her focuses?
You mean the focus, the God focus,
Yeah.
the focus that applies to everything. I'm going to go on not this time, because you're basically helping Garrow jam in a spear and lever it open. So this kind of thing is just kind of physical brute force. So this is the one occasion where the God focus does not come into play, in my opinion.
Okay, so it's two dice on my end then, yeah?
2 dice on your end, 1 dice on Gurkow's, unless, of course, extra things like determination and points of momentum are being spent.
I was going to say we have 4 momentum if you wanted to.
Sorry, could you?
Yeah.
Sorry, could you repeat that? Because I think.
Of course. So Garrow will be rolling 2 dice.
Okay, good. That 2 bit got cut off there. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Right. Okay, so complication range 2 dice in full. No focus.
And whatever Gurkow wants to contribute to matters.
I'll use one determination risk taker, because it might hurt her, but you know, I'm a risk taker. Who cares about her?
It's a risk I'm willing to take.
Exactly.
Do you want to take momentum? Because we do have a...
Well, if they're assisting, then yeah, you can take 1 extra momentum, and that'll be the maximum number of dice.
I could do that. I mean, it is free, and we've only got the 1 success for now, so I'll do that. So determination and 1 momentum to roll 2 dice. One.
Ba-boom, ba-bang, ba-bing.
Oh, nice.
Alright, so you do leave her open with basically Gurkau hanging on to Garrow to give him a bit of extra weight so that when he levers the gap open, it is actually pretty substantial. So that allows Garrow to get in there and try and pry some things apart. In that regard, since it was Garrow that was leading this, I'm going to ask for Mr. Chris Bell to form a challenge and roll 7 challenge dice for me, please.
Okay. That would be on the... Sorry, how do I...
So if you open up your character sheet, there on the left-hand side, underneath attributes, there's a red button that says Perform Challenge. It'll ask you how many dice. Put 7. Excellent. Ooh, lots of effects there.
Ooh, hello.
6 successes and 4 effects, so that's definitely a breakthrough. Which reduces the difficulty further on in. Nice! Cool beans. Very good. So, that happens. You leave her open a good old bit of space. That will give Sot extra space to work in after this. But, when you manage to jam in the spear and then lever back the opening in the cables, the whole building begins to shudder. And I forgot to include your Envirosuit breath on this, so... I get a rumble going on here. A bit. So the entire building begins to shudder. The thrumming noise... What was that, sorry?
Do we need to do the Star Trek shake? Classic?
Well, hanging on as best you can, yes, maybe you do, the Star Trek shake. Why not? Why not? The thrumming noise that you've been hearing, kind of pulsing from the massive wires in the middle, it seems, now increases to something closer to the crashing of thunder. And the tangled pile of cables and filaments, part of which Stoker has become tangled in, pieces of it start to rise up out of the coiled mass of the middle. This coiled mass starts to curl in on itself, and it's almost like watching an orrery where you've got different planets and stuff spinning around inside of it. But in the middle of this mass, this rotating mass of filaments, all of a sudden a single glowing red eye emerges and stares balefully down at Garrow and Gurkau and Sot. From the middle of this writhing mass, these whip-like tendrils start to writhe in the air, and it looks like this thing is definitely not happy to see you here. I'm going to say... this is where we throw things into initiative. So for the first round, we've got stuff going on. So, who of you lot wants to go first? You do have time to act, but you've got this massive thing now looming above you. What you want to do?
As much as I'd like to go in with my bare hands and try and rip everything apart, I think maybe someone should shoot it down. Perhaps someone with a... if Garrow could take the lead with a Type 3 phaser. Blow it up!
Righty. Let's activate Garrow.
Yep. Okay. First of all, I'm going to change my settings on the phaser.
Well, unfortunately, what I'm gonna be a bit pedantic about this next bit and say that you were just using your hands with a spear to crank open a gap when this thing rose out. So you're gonna have to use your quick action to draw the phaser, and a slow action to actually fire it. So you won't have time to tune it just yet.
Okay. In that case, I'm gonna draw and fire.
Draw and fire. So this is going to be a control and security test.
Control security.
Yes, please. Difficulty 2 to hit.
Okay, and using my focus for phases. Okay.
One success. So, as Garrow is trying to hang on to the massive cables and stay close to Stoker, he pulls out a phaser from his EV suit holster, aims and fires, but one of the lashing tendrils kind of whip across and spoil Garrow's aim. So that, in that case, becomes a miss.
Okay.
And that big baleful eye just looks out. So unless you guys want to spend 2 momentum to maintain the initiative, the Breacher is going to go next.
I think I should spend
I'd spend
the
it.
momentum.
Righty, so knock off 2 momentum. That means that Gurkha seizes the initiative.
Okay, let's see. Okay, I won't use my lefty and righty just yet. We're waiting for the critical moment. I want to use my Starfleet Medal of Honor. Oh wait. To gain 2 bonus momentum if I succeed.
Okay.
And snap my Type 2 phaser to not vicious.
Well, I'm going to say, just like I did with Garrow, that because you were concentrating before this on trying to get Stoker free, you're going to have to use your quick action to draw your weapon. You won't have time to use it to set it to anything, you're just going to have to fire it as is.
Okay.
If you are going to fire it at all. But you can still use your Starfleet Medal.
That's the one. Yeah, okay. I'll use my Starfleet Medal. And with my quick action, take my phaser out, and I will try and shoot them.
Okie dokie. That's going to be a control and security check with a difficulty of 2. And you're going to gain 2 bonus momentum on this if you manage to successfully do it. Okay. That's the Legion of Honor I just put up. What did I do?
Yeah.
Oh, whoopsie daisy.
Oh. Actually.
I'm supposed to do that, but we didn't. It's possible that at any point per mission you may gain 2 bonus momentum on a successful task. Unfortunately, that was not successful. So what I will be nice and say that as a result you didn't spend the Starfleet Medal of Honor.
Okay. Whew.
Because it wasn't successful, therefore there was no point in spending it.
Down.
So Gurkha as well pulls out a phaser, fires, but the whole thing is bouncing up and down so much that it's spoiling your aim.
Does the doctor sort of have a scalpel just to machete it with a scalpel?
Yeah.
I was going to say, if Garrow and Gurkha couldn't shoot this thing, then I haven't got a chance in heck of doing anything. I think it might need some alternative treatment.
Or you can continue trying to free Stoker.
I think I might have to go for that, yeah, when it's my turn.
But if you're not using 2 momentum to maintain the initiative...
I'm not sure I want to. I kind of want to see what it does.
Alrighty.
It's gone yet.
It's time for the creature. Now then, let's see. What does it do? Well, it was shot at by 2 people, so it is going to... Neither of you actually hit it. One of you is smaller, one of you is bigger. Let's go for the bigger guy. It is going to take a swipe as it lashes out with one of its tendrils. That's 2 successes. That's enough to hit a Garrow. Okay, so the good news is, your, if you had it on, I'm going to assume that Garrow does actually have his EVA suit on. The good news is the EVA suit does act as a form of armor, so you will have resistance 1. Now, luckily for you, I rolled pretty poorly on that, and only got 2 successes, so you will only, as a result, lose 1 stress, which doesn't necessarily mean that the tendril hit, but it came damn close to. But it's now making your footing rather precarious, because this thing is... You know, this thing has obviously got superb balance. It's using its own tendrils, for lack of a better word, to hook itself onto the individual filaments to balance itself. Meanwhile, it's using actual ones to just lash out at you guys. So it's basically like trying to fight on a trampoline. Every movement is making everything bounce, so keeping your balance is proving a little difficult. As a result, I'm going to up the difficulty of things in the future. But that was all the creature could do. Let's go on to Dr. Sott.
Yeah, I'll have a go at freeing Admiral Stoker.
So I'm going to assume that you're using medical means to do this, because technically the hole has already been opened by Garrow and Gurkow using the spear, which will allow Sott a bit easier access to get at the filaments, which Sott can clearly see are actually penetrating Stoker's skin. So this will be probably control and medicine, using something like a laser scalpel. And I will definitely say trauma surgery does count as a legitimate focus here. Now, any talents? Field medicine? Not really. Bedside manner, doctor's orders... nothing like that. Yeah, so the bouncing up and down of everything is proving to make things rather difficult, as you don't make any success right there. The whole thing of this coiled creature lashing about is making everything jump up and down, so Sott is having a hell of a time getting the laser scalpel anywhere close to the filaments he needs to get at to free Stoker. So at the moment, no progress made in that regard, and this is where I add Tavish, Flask, and probably Turin to the initiative now, since we have gotten over the initial shock of this thing rising up from the massive whatevers. Tavish and Flask, from their vantage point in the control room, what happens to them is that the holographic controls kind of flicker and dim, as if something just drew power from the area that you're in. Curiously enough, the 3D representation that you're seeing, it does register something, but the controls don't suggest what. But all of a sudden, the control console that you're using, all of a sudden the hologrammatical representation of the moon that's hovering in the air kind of collapses in on itself, and then in a similar fashion to what the other guys are seeing emerging from inside of the coiled mass that's attacking them, this giant electronic baleful red eye just now illuminates right in front of them, and you both definitely get the sense that something is looking right at you and isn't happy.
Can I hack into the system, please?
Interesting. So is that Tavish basically saying she wants to go first out of everybody? I mean,
That's
unless
something else.
anybody wants to challenge it and say you would prefer to go first.
No, I'm good with that.
I'm hearing no objections. Alright then. Tavish, we activate first. You want to try and infiltrate the system? Okay, this is going to be... I'm going to add threat to this to represent whatever's going on here. Really not wanting you to do so, so... ba-bum. This is definitely going to be...
Daring.
I'm going to go with daring, yes. Daring and science, because this is going to be more to do with your computer's ability. You're trying to basically hack the control system or whatever is going on here. This is going to be difficulty 3.
Where I'll just let you know, I am using Mad Engineer. Yes,
Okay.
I feel like I'm taking on an AI program. And if this is an AI program, I'm also going to use the focus of AI programming.
You know what? I'm going to allow that, because you've hit upon something either intentionally or by accident there that, yeah, you recognize certain types of adaptive code when you see it, and yeah, Tavish goes, I've seen this kind of thing before! Alright, I'll
not
leave
going to
that.
steal any of this code at all. You cannot prove what I'm just about to do.
So, give it a good old go. In that case, I'm actually going to up the threat even more. I'm going to up the complication range as well as the difficulty.
What's the complication?
So, the complication range should now be 2.
Okay. Am I going to use some momentum?
Well, you've already added determination, so it's entirely up to you.
I would fully support the use of the momentum in this case. He's just added 2 threat to it.
At the moment, I've got 3 dice. So, can I use?
Yeah, you can have
I'll
a maximum
use
of
1.
5, so...
Yeah, but if I use 2, I'm using 3 momentum.
Yes.
Which is, so at the end of the day, this is up to everybody else if they want me to use just the 1 momentum or the 3 momentum.
There's a better return on 1 momentum for 1 dice. Unless you... Because you're going to be rolling 4 dice with 1 momentum spent.
It's going to be rolling
5 dice.
5 dice if he pays 3 momentum in total. Actually, you're not going to be rolling. You're going to be rolling 4, but adding determination, which adds a 5th dice.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
So
So
what he's
this-
basically asking is, do you guys want him to only add 1 dice, you spending 1 momentum, or do you want to take the risk of him spending 3 momentum to add the maximum of 5 dice to this 1 roll?
I would prefer 1 momentum. Because
Okay, so that's 1 for do it, and 1 for let's not do too much, so... Both the Chris's, how do you vote?
That's a fantastic question.
Do we chance the whole job lot, going all in, or save some momentum?
I say all in. I'm feeling daring.
So that's
I'm
2 for
still
all
coming
in.
down- I'm still
All
coming
in.
down from the adrenaline and
Ho-
the
ho-
gravity sled, so you know.
Ho-
let's do it.
Hold on. Is it the Legion of? Is it the Medal of Honor?
That ignores complications?
I'll use the Starfleet Medal of Honor as well.
Yep, then go all in. If you're gonna use
Starfleet
the
Medal of Honor says, once per mission, you can gain 2 bonus momentum from a successful thing. So this is basically what Gurkau tried to do.
Yeah.
Yep, all in.
All in.
All in then, alright.
Alright,
This is gonna be spectacular one way or the other.
Okay. Focus. Determination.
Just have that other medal ready, because you don't have to pair anything.
Do you have any
which is-
left is what I want to know, because I remember an awful lot of expenditure of Legions of Honor before now.
Have we done the momentum thing?
No, I'm doing it now.
One.
It's down to 1. Oh.
Alright, rolling 4 dice, complication range 2, determination.
Here we go.
Focus.
Hold on.
Holding on.
I'm also going to use the Starcross talent. So my focus range is now
Doubled.
doubled. So
Nice.
Anything.
So 8 and under is now a double success. Okay.
So it was daring and science, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
How do we activate the medals?
There's no way of activating them except to maybe just press the Starfleet insignia to just throw it into the chat window to just show that it's being used.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, they're more, I'm using this, therefore.
So what is it? What am I using? I can't remember what.
So, yeah, you're good. We're all set up.
And oh no, it wasn't Legion of Honor.
It wasn't Legion of Honor. You were using the Starfleet Medal of Honor.
Yeah.
I think you've used the Legion of Honor. I'm fairly certain.
And the Starcross one.
It was the Starcross and the Medal of Honor. Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Here we go. Hold on to your butts, folks. This is gonna be huge. Oof! Look at that!
Oh.
Wowza. Okay, so because of that, let's have a look. That's 1, 2... Hang on a second, I've got to calculate this. That's 10 plus 4, which is 14. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's actually 7 successes, not 6. So the momentum pool goes all the way back up to full, and you gain 2 extra focus momentum for that successful thing. That may not be saved, but as a result goes into basically upping what you just managed to do. So I'm going to say the mass in the middle of the ball of wiring, for those of you who are extremely close to it, it certainly jerks, and the big red eye in the middle starts to spark and stutter as the whole thing just kind of judders to a stop, as if it's frozen. Which is basically Tavish is now actively fighting the AI program and is trying to hack into it. So, how can I draw a comparison to this? I can't really, but at the moment, Tavish has infiltrated the whatever's going on inside of the system, and it seems to be affecting this ball of whatever, this techno-organic creature. And at the moment, it seems that Tavish has successfully managed to stun this thing, for lack of a better word. So it's essentially going to miss its turn, as it is now going to try and regain control of itself, giving you guys a chance to do whatever you want to do. So who wants to go next? So Tavish has definitely bought you some time here. What do you want to do with it? So, Garrow, Gurkow, Sot, do you want Turin to do something? Does Flesk want to get out of the seat, or continue trying to access stuff? What do you want to do? Anybody?
Sorry.
Oh, please go on.
I'm gonna set my phaser to armor piercing and take a
Cool.
shot at this thing.
All right then. So we're activating Garrow. Garrow is using a quick action to reset his phaser to piercing. So give me, because it's stalled, I'm going to lower the difficulty back down to what it was before, which is 2. So you've got control and security to use your phaser against this thing, but you've given it armor piercing.
Yep, and I'm using my focus for phasers.
Yep. You've got a full momentum pool. Do you want to add anything from there? Nope, never mind.
Oh, that wasn't.
That was another miss.
Okay.
You're too quick on the draw, dude. You're too quick on the draw.
Yeah.
You're decisive. I
okay.
like it. But... That was a shot. That was a miss, I am afraid. So that was all you can do for now. Anybody else want to go?
Okay. I'm going in with lefty and righty. I don't care anymore.
You can take momentum with lefty and righty.
Exactly.
Yes, I will do that.
So scales more of this ball of wiring and just goes in there with fists, doing a Kirk. I like it.
I mean, there's a thing in the middle. Rather than punching it, can you try and pull out whatever the
Yeah, is it?
thing is?
This is going to be daring in security from you.
Okay.
The difficulty is going to be 1 now.
Okay. There and security. Gonna go at it. Anyone mind if I take 1 momentum off to roll 3?
Do it.
Do it.
Okay, hand-to-hand combat focus.
Oh yes.
Uh,
That's good. That's good. That's great. So what you've got there is 3 successes over and above what you needed. You can add those 3 as extra damage dice.
I think I should.
All right then. So
Yeah,
roll
yeah.
unarmored and then do roll challenge dice afterwards. So we'll see how we do. Okay. Wham, bam, boom, and 3 more.
3 more.
So challenge dice. Boom, banger, bing.
Ooh.
So that's 6 overall with 4 effects. So 6 is actually 5. Good lord. So yeah, Gurkau goes in there and just starts wailing on the middle eye, bashing at it, ripping at the cabling, and trying to get at the middle thing, and just getting right up in its eye, smashing her way in there. The whole thing's now starting to spark and smoke.
I should have done this from the beginning.
Yeah, this is the strategy.
Garrow looks down at his phaser and just goes, huh.
That's how, that's always how you deal with computers, isn't it? Percussive maintenance. Just give it a whack.
Right,
what's next, then?
Blesk and Turin can go next, doing whatever they wish.
I
mean-
I can, if this thing is off balance, seeing it as it is currently Gurkau's personal punching bag, shall I try and get Stoker out again?
Yeah,
To you, but it seems like a wise move.
Yeah, I'll do that. Is it the
So-
same roll as before?
Same as before, difficulty is 2, so whether or not you want to use momentum or a determination or anything like that, it's up to you.
I'll use a determination. I feel like I would bad luck. And trauma surgery again, isn't it?
Yeah, let's go with that.
And then determination. I've already saved it off. Boom.
Boom, banger, bing. So if you hadn't have used determination, that would have failed, so very nice.
I know my luck.
Very nice indeed. So, if you could now perform a challenge and roll 7 challenge dice for me, please.
It has been so long since I rolled challenge dice. Sorry, how do I do that again?
Okay, so if you open up your character sheet, underneath the column that says attributes, there's a red button that says perform challenge. It'll ask you how many dice. There you go.
Yeah. 7. So, yeah.
7! Bad. 4 successes, 1 resistance moves it down to 3. So that is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you do remove a number of filaments. She's not quite ready to be moved yet, but not far off. Only a few more things to go and she could be free. So in that regard, that was Dr. Sop being activated. Turin can't do an awful lot from where she is. I mean, she could try firing a phaser at this thing, but everybody else's luck so far has been pretty negligible with that thing, or she could just wait and see if she can help somebody. Up to you. Or Flesk can try and do something next.
Well, I don't fancy my chances of firing a phaser because that's never gone well. But building on the success of Tavish, I might try and, if I can't switch this thing off, I'm going to try and build on that success and try and keep it locked out of control.
Okay.
To keep it busy. So, yeah, I want to try and find a way, now that Tavish has taken the measure of control by hacking it, try and find the off switch, off command, and start encrypting or at least shutting down access just to these consoles, keeping this red orb out of it.
Alright, so you're basically, again, like Tavish, going to be fighting against a computer system, so this is going to be daring and science for you. You don't have anything computer-related in your list of foci, so...
No, but desperation breeds inspiration.
So if you're going to go with another determination, then absolutely.
I am going to go with one determination, and if everyone's okay with it, I'm going to steal a momentum.
Well, it's not stealing if they say you can, so...
Okay.
Go for it.
Go for it. And then, because I'm really, really hoping that it works.
Medal of Honor as well, okay.
Yep.
That's if it works, so we'll go with...
If it works.
Like I did before, I'm going to up the difficulty to 3 because you're throwing so much into it and because you're fighting against a sentient computer system, it looks like, so... Roll away.
What's permission the character made?
So this depends on whether or not this task is successful.
Yeah, but there's also the Legion of Honor, which I haven't used, also does the same thing. Oh, but it's... Oh, it does.
It does one of two things. So Starfleet Medal of Honor does one thing specifically,
Yeah.
whereas the Legion of Honor does two. Why did I get rid of that? Wasn't me. Bring it back, Matt.
That's okay. I'm going to be rolling the 3 dice plus determination. There is no focus. Oh, God.
Lad. Oh, it was almost a 1, but it rolled back onto the 7. But nevertheless, that was 1 over what you needed, and therefore you do succeed, which means you generate an additional 2 momentum, which means that you are, like Tavish, Flesk is trying to fight this system, and what you're noticing is that there's definitely what would suggest a core computer program going on in this thing, something used to regulate and control, automate stuff. But it seems like a lot of the code has been altered in places and is continuing to be altered, and is definitely now continuing to be altered according to your efforts. So there's definitely at least a conscious attempt to counteract whatever you are doing. Now, this would suggest it goes beyond regular computer security procedures. This is something learning from what you're doing and attempting to counteract what you're doing. So Tavish's hypothesis as to this being an artificial intelligence perhaps might not be the furthest thing from what actually appears to be going on. So you're seeing that there are routines, computer routines and functions and procedures that have been coded in to do standard operating procedures, but it's like somebody, it's like the system itself is trying to rewrite itself to counteract your attempts. So you've caught it, you've kept it down, you can't turn it off, even though it seems for the most part power to this place seems to suggest that there shouldn't be much power to this place. Nevertheless, somehow something is giving this thing juice. Your best scientific guess with all those successes would be probably however it created these invasive filaments is drawing energy to power itself. As such, your ability to find the off switch for this thing is going to be really hard. But Nevertheless, it seems to at least have a weakness insofar as that it is currently, its consciousness still appears to be based in the computer code, which you are keeping unstable for now. So that was Flesk. At the moment, Turin is just going to be cheerleading from the sides as a best of as a Vulcan can. So back around, round 3. So who wants to go first out of you lot now? So you managed to stun the consciousness for a bit. Whether or not that will continue to be the case remains to be seen. So what do you want to do? Sot reckons he's not far from being able to free Stoker, so do with that information as you will.
Do we... I have an idea for Tavish. If this looks like an AI, yeah.
Yep.
More than likely is an AI. We're 99% sure. So what I want Tavish to do is basically go on the attack and start ripping code out of this AI program. Its main codes.
Now, this is interesting. And as a result, I am going to bring up the Prime Directive.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying that there's potentially a consideration here. And if Tavish thinks about it at all, it'll basically be Captain Sobek's voice in her head, suggesting that this could qualify as contact with a new consciousness, a new life form. However, there is the flip side of the fact that it attacked first.
Okay.
So,
all right. That's yeah,
do with that as you will.
Kind of. I don't know now.
So you can still go on the attack. But do you want to go to the lengths of actually ripping out code?
You're not trying to kill it, you're trying to disarm it.
Yeah, I kind of, but this is a proper AI. Alright, so my thinking for Tavish at the moment is that this is a very complicated AI system, yeah? And this is direct, you know, if she can get code out of this thing, it may help with her project.
I see where we're going.
But with you saying the prime, you know, about the Prime Directive and this being a thing, I mean, Tavish is all about, you know, she's kind of shown that she's all about Starfleet, and the Prime Directive is a big thing for her, even though sometimes, you know, she goes a bit nutty with technology. You know, she hasn't tried to kill anybody, or
But didn't already try to kill her, at least, so yeah.
yeah. So
rather than ripping out code, how about isolating it?
That's
Yes.
what I'm going to get to. If you basically, if you don't delete it, you're disarming it for it to be reinstated later. That's not breaking the Prime Directive. If you go down that route.
Okay.
It's next to you.
Alright, I'll start isolating code. As I'm isolating code, can I copy that code at all?
I am going to up the difficulty as a result of that, because you're essentially trying to do two things at once. As long as you're alright with that.
Yes.
So that'll go from difficulty 3 to difficulty 4.
Oof.
Because you're basically trying to find code, obfuscate or isolate code, and download it at the same time. So that's going to be a tricky dicky.
All right, I'm going. So this is again daring. Would this
Daring
be
and-
control?
Okay, yeah, I can
This is
go with
too-
control on that one.
I was going to say this is 2 different tasks. I don't know which determination to use. Where there's a will, there's a way, or free thinker.
Just because you've used Mad Engineer or Cooling the Crisis or whatever before doesn't mean you can't use it again. And I would definitely go with Mad Engineer because she seems to be focused on the fact of, ooh, hello, AI code, I can use this! With mad, starey, wide eyes, you know.
Just
Wait a
flesk
minute!
looking over at- just a flesk looking over at her, just going, Tavish, what are you doing? What are you doing, Tavish?
Yeah, looking over at
Right.
Tavish, we'll see that she's, you know, leaning forward in her suit with her eyes bulging out wide. Come to mama, come to mama!
You know, she's concentrating. She's got her tongue sticking out at the side of her mouth.
Don't bite your tongue, Tavish, don't bite your tongue.
Okay, so I'm using the determination.
Yep.
AI programming for focus. Magic engineer, and I'm using control and science. I am going to take a momentum, if that's all right. But I'm only taking the 1 this time.
Go for it.
Okay, all right. Is the complication range gone up?
No, the complication range remains just at the 1.
At the 1. Okay.
Because this should be difficult enough with a 4. Let's see what we got. 5! Right. So yeah, Tavish goes to town, finding code, basically password locking it, that kind of thing. Running an obfuscation routine. She's doing this incredibly fast, as well as the code recognizes what Tavish is trying to do and tries to get to the new code in order to stop her doing it, but she's too practiced, too good. She moves on to the next thing, and she's jumping from routine to routine to routine to try and shut this thing down. So yes.
There's also a little saying. She's also saying something under her breath as well. She's saying resistance is futile.
Lesk may or may not become rather concerned at this particular point. Okay, so unless anybody else is going to spend momentum to seize the initiative, are you?
Gurkhan, do you want to punch it again?
That's what I was thinking.
We've got a full pool. I kind of want you've pretty much halved its health. I think you should probably do that again.
I like how Mark was basically going, I want you to do it, I want you to do it, I want you to do it, come on. Come on,
I want to do it too.
You've actually hit the thing, which is
More than anybody else has managed so far, yes, so... Alright, you need to spend 2 momentum in order to maintain the initiative, or seize the initiative rather in this case.
Also,
I will
just
take it.
contextually,
No.
Tavish is worried about isolating code to violate the Prime Directive. Whilst Gurkhan's here violating the Prime Directive with her fists.
I mean, it's an offensive entity. It's hurting, so we must.
Yeah, it's
defend
self-defense.
ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, what Tavish is doing is destroying its entire being. What?
Not anymore,
Gurkhan
you're
is-
isolating its entire being.
Yeah. Well, what I would have been doing was destroying its entire being. What Gurkhan is doing is just breaking the hardware, not the software.
Yeah, there you go. Justification, we love it.
There you go,
Okay, I'm gonna take another point of momentum just to roll 3.
Okay,
That's alright with everyone.
Go for it.
Let's try and replicate what happened earlier. So
build on
during
your
an-
earlier success, I like it.
Exactly. Hand-to-hand combat. Okay, come on.
Here we go. Ooh, I see a 1.
Oh.
That's against the determination. Good lordy. That is pretty much 1 over what you needed. So you can either add that 1 to extra damage, or you can bank it.
I think extra damage is
Alrighty.
appropriate, yeah.
So roll unarmed combat, roll unarmed strike damage and add an extra 1 with a challenge dice. Ooh, that one wasn't so good.
Oh!
If you want, you can spend determination to re-roll all of those dice.
Yeah, I'll do it. Maybe I'll stick it to the man. This time I'm using a glowing
Yeah.
red thing. Okay, let's try this again.
You will die. Well, that's slightly better.
Slightly better, and then just one more.
Yeah, okay.
Come on!
Wasn't quite as successful as the last time. This thing is recoiling from Gurkow as she goes in at it, and she does rip out some wires and does manage another smash into the middle of that big bionic eye, whatever it is, but yeah, this thing is still twitching. So, unless you guys are spending more momentum to keep the initiative, I am going to say this thing goes next, and it is going to disengage as it starts heading in the direction of a certain couple of somebodies.
Come back here, you coward.
No.
Okay.
It's fine.
Can I take another pot shot at it?
Yep, it's basically giving up its go in order to get across the area twice as fast, so that means Garrow, yep, you're up.
Right. In this case, I think I will spend some momentum on this.
Okay.
So, there's 1 momentum, 2.
1 momentum to add 1 dice.
Okay. I'm gonna have 1 dice, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. There we go. Focus.
Alrighty. That is 3 successes and a hit.
Oh.
Finally.
Right, roll damage for your phaser. Actually, you gained 1 extra momentum over what you needed there, so do you want to put it into extra damage, or do you want to put it back into the momentum pool?
Extra damage.
Damage, so... Damage. You'd already set it to be armor piercing, so that's fine, we don't need to do any more. So basically, go to your Type 2 phaser, because wielding a Type 3 in this environment is going to be next to impossible.
Yep. Okay, so Type 2...
And then you're going to need to use the Perform Challenge button to add an extra 1.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a good shot.
And 1...
Yes, please. Okay, 1 extra, so that's 8 overall with 1 piercing shot, which means you ignore its armor to deal... Ooh! Spark, sputter, and crash. The thing comes apart. So, basically, Flesk kind of looks up whilst Tavish is still very much buried in all this code, and just sees this massive cabling start to suddenly snake into the room, and this big baleful eye kind of lights up the room and looks directly at you. Flesk kind of feels his stomach drop as he notices this massive ferro-organic arachnid type thing loom in, and all of a sudden it explodes as Garrow hits it from behind with a phaser shot. Boom!
Finally, I find my range.
Yes, indeed.
Can I just point out, it's blocking the entrance.
Well, it's now just a it's a slack mass of cables and equipment now. But the whole complex does now begin to rumble. And the computer code is having a hell of a time now trying to resolve itself. But all the computer systems start becoming very, very active. So we've got Flesk and Sot, who can take some actions now. Don't know if Flesk just wants to tell Tavish to let's get the hell out of here, or what?
I'm assuming that they managed to. Or is Stoker still trapped in the rest of the cave?
Stoker's still trapped at the moment. Nobody is free to occur, so Sot could go next to try and free Stoker.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Alrighty, let's activate Sot. So same, play it again, basically. Play those notes again, Sam. Which I know technically isn't the correct quote. Ooh, hello there!
Legion of Honor.
Do you have any left, or have you not spent it yet?
I've not used it today.
Okay, so that's good. There was a brief moment there when Sot almost cut Stoker's flesh. But unfortunately, as a result of that little tiny mistake, you didn't get any further. But for the moment, at least, you have got a bit of an advantage in that the threat is no longer present, or at least the apparent threat from this creature or whatever it is. Now, whilst Sot is this close to Stoker, he picks out that she is mumbling over and over, and the only words that he can actually make out are ghosts in the machine. The rest is all unintelligible. And this becomes even more prevalent, let's say, as the ball of wiring and that big red eye that was in the middle of it, as it just gets destroyed in a shower of sparks. The whole AI that both Flesk and Tavish are fighting just kind of ceases for a moment. And then there is a thrumming from somewhere deep within, and both the computer consoles that Flesk and Tavish are sitting in go dead. The power just goes completely out from them. Zoop. And there's a rumbling from somewhere deep underneath. You're not sure where from, but it's resounding through the very earth at the moment. Through the very ground. So, I am going to take us out of initiative, as it were.
Guess we can't get past the corpse.
Yeah, you know. It's just a mass of wires and stuff. You're going to have to step around it, obviously, but you can always just try and push it so that it will take its own weight, makes it slide back down the decline, as it were.
Yeah, we've lost control here. Unless, Tavish, do you want to explore further down? Because we can see a hallway, but if we've lost control of these consoles, it's unlikely that we're going to have control elsewhere.
Dave?
Yeah, Tavish has a very big smile on her face. For some reason.
My work here is done!
Alright, I guess we'll be pushing the corpse out the way.
Alrighty. Doesn't take much. The whole thing is very heavy, so just giving it a nudge makes the whole thing just slip down the chamber.
Oh no!
The anti-grav loop.
Did it land on our anti-grav sled?
Thankfully, the sled is still there.
Oh,
Yeah, let's do the anti-grav sled luge all the way around again.
Alrighty. I won't ask. Actually, you might need some momentum, so let's do it.
Yep.
What was it I said before?
Daring and con?
Daring and con. Or control and con, rather, I should say.
Oh, control and con. I led last time. Do you want to lead this time?
Or you could, one could assist and one could lead.
Oh no, that's what I meant. Is it doesn't matter if I lead or you lead. It's got to be an assist, so I've got.
Right.
Yeah. You be the assist.
Tavish wants her turn.
Yep.
Yeah. I haven't got any focuses. I'm not using determination.
Okay.
Okay. So right.
Difficulty 1, you get 1. So whatever Flesk gets is extra. 2, so that one adds 1 back to the momentum pool. Cool, you both get across. So whilst all that's going on, Gurkow, Sot, and Garrow. What you guys doing?
We're
guess
gonna have
we're
yet
thinking-
another go at trying to get Stoker.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. I mean, you can all help.
Please.
It looks like Sot needs a bit of help, so Garrow and Gurkow can assist with, let's say, fitness and security. And Sot, of course, going for control and medicine.
Right.
Wow!
Online.
Damn.
You don't need help anymore!
Patience paid off.
Certainly didn't have at all.
Okay, so that's 5 overall. I said you needed 1, so that gets you a full momentum pool back again. If I can get Sot to roll me 7 challenge dice again, please. Alrighty. 5 successes, 1 effect, which means that's another breakthrough and another breakthrough on top, which means you get what you need. So this has to be done very quickly because Stoker, as soon as she's prized from the cabling, the source of oxygen going to her helmet, for lack of a better word, is no longer there. Therefore, you have to transfer her over to the extra EV suit that you brought very, very quickly, but you can do that. Next, of course, is the added problem of getting all of you across with a not-so-stable Stoker. She seems pretty weak from the whole ordeal, plus she still has technology infiltrating her body, so you've not totally eliminated the problem, you've just done enough to cut her out of it, so...
Can we kick the anti-grav sled towards her? Would that help?
Yeah, the problem with that is... Do I need to say it?
It's not. The anti-grav isn't going to be able to get back up.
Yes. It's going to go down the decline to the bottom of this circular chamber, and Sot and Garrow and Gurkow are basically going to look at you and go, that was helping?
Can someone push it up one of the wires like a trolley?
That's the problem. The anti-grav impellers at the bottom need a surface in order to impel against. And when you push it over a wire, pardon me, I just hit my mic, there's not enough surface. So this will be I mean, you can do what you did before, which was Garrow lead and Sot and Gurkow assist with the whole endeavour of going across. It's just you're going to have Stoker is going to need to be helped by somebody else. So it is going to add to the difficulty of the whole thing. As such, I will say it's going to be a fitness and security test for everybody to get over, probably led by Garrow, using his survival focus. But the difficulty is now going to go up to 3. But with 3 of you on the money... I guess Garrow, yes, needs to lead. He could also carry Stoker.
Yeah, could he take another...
So, okay, what attributes for this one?
Hold on, carry on with what you were going to say, Connie?
Just if Garrow could take a point of momentum, then to roll 3.
Okay. So 1 dice for Sot, 1 dice for Gurkow, rolling fitness and security. Garrow, if you well, you can buy a momentum and roll 3 dice for fitness and security with the focus.
Okay. Right. I'll take 1 momentum then.
Oh, the Sot!
Fitness, security.
A doctor, not a gymnast.
Was it focus as well as that?
Yes, please.
Okay, 3 dice.
3 dice. Very nice. So there's that momentum back. So you managed to get Stoker and yourselves across. Now, as you're going across, Stoker starts coming around. She seems a bit more lucid. She starts to say that there's a sentience inside of the technology. And the technology here isn't just an artifact of a dead civilization, it's actually alive. and she thinks it was trying to communicate to her. But there might be more than one thing living inside this tech. She doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense, but you pick up that she thinks that they're malicious. Something about waiting for a chance to strike. Taking over everything they interface with. And that whoever they are, they created the consciousness in the machine that attacked you, as well as creating the facility itself. She also says that during her brief sync, as she calls it, with the systems here, that she was made aware of the purpose of this moon and the station as a whole. Apparently, it's used to broadcast obfuscated data. Stoker is definitely not clear on why this is the purpose, but she knows from what the voices in the machine told her that there are at least a dozen other installations of this sort throughout the galaxy. But now is the case of your EVA suits have got a dwindling oxygen supply. You've got Stoker. You've got a physical sample from the mummified corpse, and you've also now, Tavish has got a data sample, an actual code sample from the AI or whatever it was that was inside of the machine trying to counteract you. So it's probably time that you got out of here.
Run away!
Hightail it.
So, essentially, you have to go back the way you came, which is not fast, but there's definitely a rumbling, and as you start managing to make your way through the corridors that you came through, you do notice that the filaments and the wires are vibrating a lot more frequently. It's a very strong metallic twanging sound that you're hearing as you go through. It's becoming definitely more intense, like it's building up to something. What? You're not entirely certain. You want to stick around to find out. Nevertheless, you do make your way back outside. This time you do have Stoker in tow, so let me grab Stoker. Now, Hopkins is, of course, has been listening into this the entire time, and was more than likely all set to fly in the Gwich'ar and start blasting. But you guys actually managed to find a way of finishing off the machine consciousness's corporeal form, at least, for the time being. So I am going to say that the Gwich'ar and Hopkins actually got mobile and are flying in to intercept you. What you notice when you exit into the outside at last, however, is that the wind outside has picked up significantly. There are now large chunks of debris flying by overhead, careening around, crashing into each other. So you guys didn't expose yourselves too much to this lashing wind, so you use the central building as cover as much as you can. But you see the Gwich'ar coming in, and it is being battered by all this wind that is assailing it. As such, I am going to increase the speed of the clouds a bit more. To the scale. So there's debris flying everywhere, making you have to, hold up your hands to shield against it. You're being buffeted from one side to the other as bits are flying through the air at quite high speeds. So somebody is going to have to be Hopkins, and somebody is going to have to be the Gwich'ar. So who hasn't rolled in a little bit? Pretty much everybody's had their turn. So who's basically feeling lucky? Nobody. All right. Let's go with, Mr. Bell, if you could be the Guichar.
Okay.
And maybe let's build on Dave's successes so far, and maybe jinx him in the process by making Dave be Hopkins. So I'm going to require control and con from Hopkins, and I'm going to require engines and con from the Guichar. So it's going to be 1 dice from the Guichar, 2 dice from Hopkins. If Hopkins wants to buy any further dice with momentum, that's entirely up to you guys.
She hasn't really got any
Piloting related focuses? No.
We've got the momentum. So
Yeah, let's go for it.
Alright, so we're just using the 1 dice, so she has a dice pool of 3.
Oh,
Yep.
Ah.
okay.
Just landing on that 3 and then it just went over.
Alright, so it's not an easy landing. It comes down with a bit of a bump. So I'm going to say that it didn't exactly take a breach from that, but the bump was enough to strip some power out of it, because it needed to use a lot of power to come in and stay stable, and the landing thrusters needed extra juice pumping into them in order to stay stable enough to land between these two buildings. So the Guichar is now within running distance for the lot of you. So you all pile on top of the into the Guichar and have to head out at speed, or not at speed at least, but you are going to need some help. So yeah, using the transporter system in this amount of wind and debris is going to be next to impossible. So the only way to get out of here is to get into the Guichar and head for the upper atmosphere. So let's have you on board the bridge, because I put effort into this and it's nice to use it. The bridge of the Guichar, so everybody piles on board. Everybody's EVA suits are dirty and a little cut in places from all the debris that you had to deal with. So for now it's going to be a daring and con task with a difficulty of 2 to get off planet, and I'm afraid the Guichar itself is going to lend no help to this, because it's all about piloting skill now. So let's have... Who else wants to go at being Hopkins piloting this?
I'll have a go.
Alright then. I had a feeling it was going to be you, Connie. I didn't want to impress...
Who wants to have a go? Yeah, I'll do it.
I want to fly this thing! Mark is playing with the door.
I can't help it.
Wonder what that was.
That was the door sound. So if you use Hopkins, and it's going to be daring and con, and it's going to be difficulty 2 to try and pilot this thing through all the howling wind. You're no longer using your Enviro suits. Hello. Does she not? No, she doesn't. All right.
Oh.
Bad news,
Okay,
folks.
Determination reroll.
Determination reroll.
Okay. Death before dishonor. I'm not having a scratch on my ship. No beans. She can actually. She's got the veteran, so she can actually roll a challenge dice to see if she gets that determination back.
Okay.
So
perform the task again, and then roll the challenge dice after. Okay.
yeah, sure.
There we go.
We can do it that way. So that's better. It's not what you needed, but it's not the catastrophe of having a complication. And she doesn't get to keep.
Damn.
So it's difficult going. So Hopkins wanted to use the space between those two buildings as like a lee in order to get a little less wind buffeting you about. But the moment that the Guichar lifts off and leaves the cover of the two buildings, it's immediately thrown to the side, and everybody pretty much feels the whole ship tilt quite drastically. So feel free to give me the Star Trek shake. As everybody heels off to one side. And the ship is going to strain against the buffeting winds. So we can have somebody else give it a go. Possibly with momentum being used this time. And maybe a bit of assistance.
Can someone assist me? Because then we've got parent figure. She's at 20.
Well, Hopkins is flying, and she won't. We know from experience that she won't let anybody else pilot this thing. She'll let somebody else help.
All right, do it again, and I will assist.
So this time, Mr. Powell, you get a turn at piloting Hopkins.
I will help in the assistance of flying the ship too.
Okay.
How do?
And what are we doing?
Control. Actually, daring and con, because you're having to literally fly by the seat of your pants here.
Daring and con, perform task, any focuses or anything?
Not for Hopkins, no.
2 dice, yeah.
2 dice for Hopkins, please. Yes.
I'm gonna steal the momentum then for 1.
Which is just as well, because Hopkins got 1.
I'll roll 2.
That's enough for 2. So anything else anybody else adds is extra gravy. Oh no! Parent figure, we ignore that. So just about, with a little help from her friends, Hopkins manages to point the nose of the Guichar in the right direction, fights against the storm, and manages to eventually get through it. Wow. So you actually did take a breach to the craft there because of the initial failure, but it's all good. So where's the Guichar? Where can I find the Guichar? Let's give... There it is. Wake that over to here. That'll do for now. So the Guichar took a bump, let's say, to the structure from that initial rather drastic failure at flying. That'll buff right out. Okay. Eventually, however, as the Guichar goes higher and higher up into orbit, the violent storms abate after what seems like an eternity. And shortly thereafter, you see the familiar twinkle of the lights of the Combs. So let's draw you up to the view of the planet. So the Combs has been remaining in basically high orbit of the moon this entire time, and so the Guichar is now exiting the atmosphere and is starting its journey towards the Combs. But before we get there, let's go quickly to Deck 1, where obviously the captain and those who were left behind on the ship to run it whilst everybody else was absent. So for the time being, I put the away team in the captain's ready room so that they're off the immediate bridge. But everybody else is at their stations as we go for the bridge ambience, the bridge rumble. And ensign eversion at the sensors gets a notification that there is a warp signature suggesting a ship is coming out of warp into the system. At which point Captain Sobek just looks over and says, "On screen." So we will jump over to this ship again, and this map again, as a ship does indeed enter into the system. This thing just blips in as the flash of its warp drive disables, and immediately you can see that this ship is big. It is about the size of a Galaxy-class ship. It has 4 nacelles to it and has a very dark, angular design. Now, from the looks of the nacelles, this thing has definitely got hints of Federation inclination towards the design, but it's of no ship that anybody has seen before. So, back to the bridge. If we allow the bridge to load. Ensign Ravalon, your communications officer, says, "Captain, we are being hailed." At which point, Captain Sobek nods and says, "On screen." So, Captain Sobek and the rest of the bridge crew see that immediately on the viewing screen is the image of a Vulcan woman with a very severe angle to her face. She's wearing some kind of dark uniform that doesn't seem to have the same kind of structure as regular Starfleet uniforms do. There's definitely no indication that she is part of the science department, but the fact that she's wearing a white doctor's overcoat on top of her uniform suggests that she is. There's no sign of a Starfleet insignia badge, but that could just be because it's under the overcoat. The bridge behind the Vulcan is very Spartan, but the signs of life are back there. There's the occasional person walking back and forth. All of them are wearing black featureless uniforms. There are what look like the Starfleet chevrons on their lapels, where their badges, if lapels is even the right word, where their Starfleet communicator badges should be, but they definitely don't seem to be of the same design as yours. The woman, who is now on the view screen, nods and says... Actually, let me get my voice correct for this. Testing. Okay. Captain Sobek, welcome. We have come to take Admiral Stoker off of your hands. If you could direct us to where she is being held, we would be more than happy to take her off of your hands. So, I know presently your main characters are not yet on the bridge, but technically all of these supporting characters are your characters too, including the captain. So rather than just have me have an entire conversation with myself, without input from you guys, what would you like to happen? Because by now the Gwich'ra is starting to come up out of orbit, and has probably themselves noticed this extra ship has just warped in.
Pretty sure Sobek wouldn't just hand over detainees or anyone at first ask without some kind of clearance verification and identity confirmation.
Everybody alright with that?
Yeah,
These people are.
Yeah, sounds about right.
yeah, so yeah.
Yep.
We would be more than happy to hand over Admiral Stoker if you present us with the proper authorization codes with which to prove what you say is correct, replies Captain Sobek, who at this moment in time is actually sending a coded message using his armrest command console to Ensign Ravalon to patch in the Gwich'ra to what's going on. so that the folks on the Guichar now know what's the conversation is being had. The woman on the view screen responds. Suffice to say, Captain Sobek, we have all the proper authority we need. We are aware of your mission in this area, and it appears, to all intents and purposes, that you have completed it. Therefore, you no longer have need of the continual presence of the prisoner, Stoker, on your ship. Therefore, we ask that you lower your shields and allow us to beam her over onto ours. Stobek's response. Let me turn this down a little bit because I'm having trouble hearing Mark.
Sorry, she responded, but did they actually send verification codes, or was it just
No.
trust me, bro? Oh, well then no.
It was more or less
That's
trust me,
like-
bro, yeah.
Yeah, so that's... Yes. To lower the shields once we get those authorization codes. There you go.
All right. That sounds like something the captain would say. We will lower the shields as soon as we receive the proper authorization codes. Miss... You know, Sobek leans in on this to try and get who she is, and she just doesn't respond. Meanwhile, Ensign Eversion gets a computer alert noise, at which point he kind of sends a little notice. Eversion sends a notice to the captain saying, "Captain, we're being scanned." At which point, on the screen that everybody's seeing, what appears to be a human woman. You're not entirely sure. She keeps her face away from you, but she's got kind of long, wavy blonde hair. She keeps her back to the viewing screen, but does lean in to the Vulcan woman, and they seem to have a quiet conversation. The Vulcan nods as the woman, blonde-haired woman, then leans back out of shot, as it were. We see that Admiral Stoker appears to be on the Guichar that is proceeding towards your ship for docking. This is convenient. Therefore, we ask that you authorize the Guichar to lower its shields so that we can have Admiral Stoker beamed aboard. Please dispatch them the notice, Captain, even though we are fully aware that you are transferring this call onto the Guichar as well. Right, what would you like to do?
Maybe suggest that if they really want it, we won't give it to her, but we can go together back home in the ranger station.
Everybody else good with that?
I mean, yeah, until verified new orders come in, he was going to proceed. The crew were going to proceed to return Stoker back to her original holding cell. So those orders haven't changed, or at least no verified orders have been presented.
In the Starfleet handbook, I'm just making this up at this moment in time, but in the Starfleet handbook 24.5.6 says not to do this and to give your name.
Right. So Sobek then essentially says, if you are refusing to give us the authorization we require in order to transfer a prisoner over to your custody, then we would recommend instead that you accompany us back to Narendra Station, and then we will be more than happy to discuss your the transference of the prisoner as per Starfleet regulation 0.6.7. I'm afraid, Captain Sobek, that our mission after this requires us to not be going towards Narendra Station. Therefore, it would be of greater convenience if you were to simply allow us to take Stoker, and we will then be on our way. Be logical, Captain. Captain Sobek at this point has to say, well, I am being logical, miss. I have yet to be presented with verifiable orders or clearance codes.
Yeah, handing over a prisoner, or doing anything without verified authorization and orders is illogical, because it just could be anyone.
Please, Captain, we are obviously Starfleet as well. Therefore, it is illogical to consider us outside of your... No, sorry, I lost the entire thread of what I was going to say there, and I can't figure out a clever way of putting it. Let's think of a better way. Let me retract that. Donkeys are aliens, donkeys are aliens.
Nice Bill Bailey reference.
Yes. If I can reference Bill Bailey, I will. Bill Bailey is awesome. In any case, let me think. What was I getting at? Rest assured, Captain Sobek, we have the necessary clearance. We are obviously members of Starfleet also, therefore it is illogical to withhold somebody on the basis purely that you have not yet received authorization, where clearly we must have authorization by logic alone. Otherwise we wouldn't have known of this mission, seeing as it was, as per Admiral Hebert's orders, to be kept purely on Narendra Station's books. And yet, you are still asking us to trust you. So yes, what was that, Mark?
They're pressed. Oh, sorry. They're pressed for time, and they need to be somewhere else. In absence of them being able to provide adequate authorization, what they can do is provide where they're going next. So, what Captain Sobek can do is just forward on Stoker on a separate transport at a later date to their convenience, once he gets confirmation that this is the right thing to do.
Everybody else?
He doesn't take away from them. They're not missing out on their secondary mission. All they have to do is either provide authorization or their next their next destination, if there's nothing to be sinister behind what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, until you give me the credentials I need, we're going this way, you can come with us and then deal with the paperwork after, again?
Kind of, but with the concession that, and if that's not acceptable, you need to go somewhere else. Tell us where to send the Admiral once we've got
Right.
information. Let's see if they'll reveal their next destination, which they won't, but let them say no.
I'm afraid our mission is classified, Sobek. You don't have the clearance for it. Therefore, let me reassure you that we have the clearance necessary to take Stoker away from you, and must therefore order you to do so. Captain Sobek will raise a quizzical Vulcan eyebrow at this. You claim to order me, and yet have not yet presented your credentials. And once again, Aversion will note, Captain, they've raised their shields, and they seem to be altering power to their systems. Aversion will... Sorry. Book it! Well, the Gwich'ar is not yet docked. And this presents you with an interesting problem. So if we have a quick look at the Gwich'ar. The Gwich'ar is a smaller ship and can certainly go to warp, but doesn't have the fast warp capabilities that the Combs does, and therefore the Combs can book it faster than the Gwich'ar can. You don't know the capabilities of the other ship. In fact, what Ensign Aversion was about to say is that just as he was about to try and get a scan of the ship, whilst he registered this sudden power buildup on the opposite ship, something on the opposite ship is now preventing sensors from getting a good view of anything to do with the ship. They seem to have activated some kind of, not exactly a scattering field, but something on their ship's hull has now had power driven through it, and as a result, it's impossible to now get a reading on anything going on within the ship, within the opposite ship. At which point the captain, the Vulcan on the other side of the view screen, essentially, is now taken on even on a Vulcan, you can see there's a slight sinister shift in her attitude. So, Beck, do not make this difficult. For us, it is illogical. We are obviously in a new and unknown variety of ship which you have not yet come across because you do not have the clearance. You do not know our ship's capabilities, we know yours. The logical thing would be to hand over Stoker, and this can all be treated as a mission completion for all of us. There's no need to make this difficult. So, the Gwich'ya is getting closer to the Combs at this point. The only problem is, in order for the Gwich'ya to dock, the Combs would have to lower its shields.
I was still holding the transport inhibitors. Can we just localize it around
Good point!
Stoker?
Good point. Clever girl. Yes. So if you activate the transport inhibitors and keep them in the vicinity of Stoker, then even when both the Gwich'ya and the Combs lower their shields in order to dock, they can try, but they won't get much success. And they themselves will have to lower their shields as well in order to beam Stoker on board, unless they've got some means of doing so. So I'm going to take us back to here again. So, no, they don't. Okay. So the Gwich'ya's coming in. The Gwich'ya's shields are still up, and you want to try the. Basically, you want to try using the transport inhibitors, which is great. So let's do that. The Gwich'ya lowers its shields so that it can actually go dock with the Combs. The Combs lowers its shields, and there is indeed a sudden attempt. There's a lowering of the opposite ship's shields as they suddenly attempt to themselves gain a handle on Stoker. So let's see if they manage it. But the difficulty is going to be... Ooh. Alright, so from everyone on the Gwich'ya's point of view, as you are disembarking from the Gwich'ya, or at least you dock and you start getting ready to come off, there's an obvious attempt at trying to transport Stoker off, but by having the inhibitor fields around it, they try, and they try, and they try, and then they cease, which means you have a very brief moment of time here to raise shields and do something else. What do you want to do? You've now got Stoker on board.
I think that's the way.
Gwich'ya's docks. Stoker's on board.
Run away.
A tactical withdrawal.
To Narendra Station.
So here we go.
With a subspace destroyer. Suspected terrorists are trying to kidnap a prisoner.
Interesting. Alright, so the Combs, of course, has to angle its variable geometry warp field by angling its nacelles, which does clue off the other ship that you're about to make a run, and it itself powers up its warp engines and turns on its shields. You guys zip off and leave the system, so I'm just going to put you kind of centrally here. Of course, the planet and the moon have zipped off into the background now and are no longer present, but the Combs is now at warp, and it also means that the away team can make themselves back onto the bridge. Stoker, of course, is willing to be kept in custody for the time being, but is very interested in what is going on, especially because she's hearing now that there's another ship. And as I move everybody back to their primary positions to get with their posses, as it were. Ah yes, Transporter Chief Zonvagor. I forgot about the epic tale of Zonvagor. How could I forget Zonvagor? He assures Flesk that all systems are operating normally, but it's at that point that the tactical console gives an alert saying that there is another ship coming in at high warp and is starting to catch up with the Combs. So, the other ship is at a distance in warp, but is starting to gain. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take folks from the bridge. So I'm going to need you two, and you, and the chief, and the other chief, your pilot, and your ops officer. I'm going to bring your tokens into the star map to make it a bit easier for everybody to access their characters. You're a bit scattered about. So let's see. Sobek, Hopkins. Next up would likely be Gurkha, who's doing a dance. And your pilot will probably be the next best, which then brings us to your tactical officer, and then everything that comes a result.
What map are we meant to see? Because I just see us all just dangling in space.
You don't see anything, do you?
No, I see the ships, and I see the planet and the moon. I don't actually see...
Yeah, we're all just like drifting in space.
Yeah.
Right now.
So
Yeah,
at the moment,
okay,
I've put your tokens there for ease of you being able to access them, because right now this is kind of a space encounter. So there's this essentially represents you guys traveling at warp, at high warp, so there's stars zooming past, but there's also this other ship is starting to race in behind you and is catching you up. As a result, I'm bringing your characters in here so that you can access their abilities. Now, slamming down the accelerator in order to go into warp, if I recall, is a position task of Helm, which is... What is the doing with power requirements? So, yes, that will knock down at least a point of warp. You had to use a point of power as well to raise shields, so you're down that much at the moment. So, do you want to take any action whilst this ship is starting to loom closer?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Tavish has a bonus for generating power for the ship. We also have improved warp drive on the ship. So
You do, in fact.
yeah, it spends less energy when traveling in warp. Whenever the ship spends power to the warp, roll 1 challenge die for each power spent. For each effect roll, that kind of power is not spent. Oh, so we actually just roll the challenge die for that point.
Yeah, so you can do that. So usually it costs 3, but as a result, when the ship goes to warp, roll 1 challenge dice. So roll 3 challenge dice, and for every effect on those, it'll cost 1 less. Likewise, the other ship will have spent power too.
Dice pool 3.
Dice in pool 3.
Come on. Woohoo!
1 success, so it costs 1 less. So it still costs 2. But with shields up, that also cost 1. So you don't have to... Okay. And in a similar vein...
Lavish has.
Okay. Tavish has what, sorry?
Tavish, any time someone's doing anything to do with power stuff, I roll a challenge dice.
So you do. Do
I
it.
reduce that power
Yes.
requirement by 1.
Alrighty.
to a minimum of 0.
So rolling 3 dice
And
was a
it-
mistake, but you know you can make up the one. So roll that challenge dice and see if you do regain it after all.
In addition, when you succeed at power management test, you restore power equal to your engineering score.
Yeah, but we haven't done that yet.
Oh.
So let's just see how much power the going into warp took you. So roll that one extra challenge dice then, please, Dave, and we'll see if you manage to save any extra power. You do! Nice. So, your ship and its chief engineer are all very good at conserving power, even when you do something as big as make it off to warp, so that's good. Now, Ensign Eversion, as Gurkow takes the reins on sensors, notes that in a similar fashion, the other ship has had to expend power in order to go to warp and activate its shields, and from what he can tell, the power expenditure it's just gone on suggests that it didn't use any of its internal power to go to warp. So it also has some improved warp engines, more than likely. Now, the good news is any kind of firefight in space is at warp is going to use torpedoes, so phasers and phaser arrays don't come into the mix. So it's only going to be torpedoes that can be used, but it's entirely up to you what you guys think you want to do now. This ship is pursuing you, so what would you like to do?
I mean, I get how we could fire photon torpedoes backwards whilst travelling at warp. How are they going to fire a torpedo whilst travelling at warp? Do something further away, also travelling at warp. I don't see how that they could shoot us.
Well, there's that consideration.
I was also going to say, this is a starship vessel, and I don't think it'll be a good idea to take the first shot.
Yeah, we shouldn't shoot first, but I also don't think they're going to be capable of shooting us.
I'm just saying, if we're being pursued, then we don't actually have to fire, right? We can just leave something behind.
There's that.
Like just drop an arm torpedo like a mine or something.
I mean, the travelling at warp does have to be a torpedo or a mine. You just leave one of the worker bees.
Sacrifice a worker bee.
Yeah.
We detonate the warp core.
I mean, just because we drop a torpedo doesn't mean we wanted to hit them. We just wanted to dissuade them. Doesn't have to like.
I still think that's really aggressive to another starship vessel. I know they've been
alleged.
Yeah, technically, you haven't read any markings on this thing that suggests it is part of Starfleet, except for basically the woman on the other side of the screen saying, as Mark put it, "Trust me, bro."
Yeah, no. We haven't got to go. Excuse me, sorry. We haven't got to eliminate them. What if we just like drop some kind of armed charge that could like knock them out of warp?
I mean, I thought we could just, or depending on how Tavish wants to do this, if Tavish and I try and get our ship going faster and recovering more power, we'll see what you guys can do.
Yeah, that was the thing I was going to suggest. Trying to get our
race
warp
them.
speed. Yeah, our warp
Interesting.
speed faster than theirs.
Go faster, because between me and Tavish, I do think we can go faster and restore power.
So it's basically going to be an effort to push the engines.
You guys just want to relive the whole grab sled thing.
Oh yeah.
Furious over here.
Hey, that worked really well.
Alright,
And
so...
I'm not sure if you can punch another ship from warp, but Gurkow could do it.
Launch Gurkow at them! Go on. She one-punch mans the thing. You have no comprehension of my power!
Crispy, and what was your suggestion about throwing?
Dropping something in their path.
We can't outrun them, then we just drop something in their path and knock them out of warp.
Okay.
It hasn't got to be lethal or anything, but
No.
knock out cell.
Waste.
Or they can stand to lose one.
Chris B, you got any suggestions?
Let's see. I'm trying to think of something that isn't going to destroy them outright or cause too many casualties.
It sounds like you're basically on the same idea as Mr. Powell. Find some way of disabling them or knocking them out of warp to give you guys chance enough to run.
Can we use phases at warp?
That's the problem. Technically, no. You're proceeding at the speed of light, and so a phaser being a sustained beam of laser light
Good point.
is just for
Where my
close.
question about forward-firing torpedoes.
Now,
Like,
those of you who have got focuses on warp engines and, more appropriately, warp field dynamics, essentially... yes, exactly. Ships travel faster than light by producing a field that basically means that your ship is tapping into some other subspace realm's laws of physics in order to lessen the mass of your vessel, and therefore allows you to travel at faster than light speeds, as far as I understand the pseudoscience of it anyhow. So, if you were to try and knock them out of warp, it would suggest you would need to create some kind of gravitational anomaly or disturbance of such velocity that it would disturb their warp field, destabilizing it long enough to basically knock them out of light speed.
anti-grav sled mine.
It would need to be something like an anti-grav sled mine on a fairly large order of magnitude, yes.
Oh no.
We could put something on a probe or something, couldn't we?
Probe or
Oh,
a torpedo, yeah, something like that.
Oh, you're wanting Tavish to tinker with torpedoes? Are you sure that's a wise idea?
Just bolt the anti-grav sled to the torpedo. That's all we want.
Much as I was about to say, much as I'm a little wary of Calica's tinkering, to be fair, he's had a good run lately. Then again, that might mean I just jinx that.
So what you're saying is, she hasn't blown anything up yet. Do we want to continue on that run, or are we jinxing it by tempting fate once too often?
I prefer.
That's an alternative.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
There's two tasks then we want to do. We want to go faster, and we want to disable the warp, their warp field. Yes.
Seems like.
But for a guess, that's you want Tavish to do both.
Well,
So,
As far as
are we going to try and go faster first, or are we going to, or do you want the modifications for the torpedoes first?
because it's still quite a hostile action, like dropping anti-grav caltrops.
I like that,
Try
actually.
to run first.
Mark, you're a bit quiet. I didn't quite catch all of that.
Oh, sorry. Is this any better?
Try again.
How about now?
Okay, that's slightly better, yes.
Okay, I'm not sure what's gone on there then.
That's fine. You're just quite naturally quietly spoken, and there's a lot of sinister rumbling going on in the background. So let's try and keep the
that's
atmosphere.
going to be my... Yeah, that's my fan going nuts, so if I move a bit further away from the PC. Yeah, sorry. Because it's still quite a hostile action to drop, like, anti-grav caltrops in their path, I'd rather try and outrun them first.
I was I think doing the modifications for the torpedo is going to be better, because we don't have to fire it, but at least the
Have it
modification is there and ready
Okay, yeah, that makes
for
sense.
when we try to outrun them. And if we can't outrun them, we have the torpedo ready to go. and we're not waiting for Tavish to, you know, do all
Do
the
a thing. Do all the
do a
things.
thing. Yeah.
All right then. So
Right.
whoever wants to get involved in the science project, best do so now. I mean, as usual, Gurkhau's Godstat will come in very helpful here. Anybody with knowledge of warp field engines or warp engines or warp field dynamics will also be very helpful.
Warp engines. Yep, I got that one.
Oh yeah, you do as well. Yeah.
How many? We got 5 dice, haven't we?
5 dice maximum. You've got Tavish and Gurkhau and Garrow and Flesk who can all work on it. So you've basically got 2, 3, 4, 5. You've got the maximum number of dice right there.
Okay. What are we? Is this for? This is for the torpedo, isn't it?
This is for creating this whatever you want to leave, some kind of gravitic disturbance that you're going to throw behind you. I like the gravitic caltrops idea.
What?
This is definitely going to be experimental technology.
Yeah.
I am going to spend a threat to up the complication range, because if you get this wrong, there are possibilities, negative ones, that could happen. So I'm going to make this difficulty 3. So, I will allow folks to contribute whatever they think. I mean, as far as Garrow goes, this is going to be reason and security, because it's something that goes boom. Same goes for anybody else, although folks can replace security with science if they want to go for them helping with just the crunching the numbers, or engineering if they're going with the actual physically creating the device. So I'm good with all.
So is it reason?
Reason engineering.
Reason and engineering, or science, or security.
I'm going to use my focus. Sorry, yeah, I'm going to use my focus warp engines on that.
Okay, you get 1 dice as Garrow. Gurkhau gets 1 dice. Flesk gets 1 dice. Tavish gets 2.
At least we get
That's maximum.
I want to use my Starcross because might as well.
Okay. Oh, Garrow!
With my damn.
What a
My
start.
God, focus.
Okay. Okay. Never mind. Garrow made up the shortfall, it's all good. So now it's down to Tavish. Ooh, nice. So no one got anywhere near the enhanced complication range, that's good, and we got 6 in total. Alright, you've created the device, the gravitic caltrop. It's there, ready. As a result, the other ship has started gaining ground slowly. You doubt they're going to be able to fire any torpedoes until they're practically right on top of you. But they are gaining ground, so that was Act number 1, was creating this new caltrop type device. Act number 2 was going to be push the engines, wasn't it?
Yes. Can we put everybody at Can we put the ship at red alert?
Absolutely, you can put the ship at red alert if you really want to.
Yeah.
Are you sure, sir? This does mean changing the bulb.
I was waiting for that!
Wrong series. I know.
But it is our other cross-franchise reference of the day, so that's fine. Alright, so we're looking to push the engines. So this means getting extra juice out of the engines to increase our speed. So this is actually going to be coming from Lieutenant Commander Lian Zhang, who's going to be needing to use control and con to keep the thing steered correctly. Anybody who wants to help with daring and engineering and pumping power into the engines is going to be needed also.
Okay. I will use my focus of warp engines. I will also be using the talent and giving it all she's got. So once we've done this, it's the challenge dice, and if I'm successful,
give it a go. She's got, Captain.
Yeah, we get all that. Well, we get a lot of power back. We get 5 power back.
That's a point, actually. Power. You can spend power to achieve something. I forget what it is. There's a lot of momentum, and I neglected to remember what happens when you spend power. Basically add stuff to the task. So you are essentially going to be spending power on increasing these specific tasks. So first we want the tasks from you guys to see if the ship can take it, and then we're going to be calculating how much power you do need to spend, and as a result then everyone's related talents to do with the ship's talent and other people's talents for negating the power loss. Go from there. So what I would like is for Chris Powell, if you could jump onto the reins of Lieutenant Commander Lian Zhang for us.
Sure.
Because she is going to need to keep the ship steady. Now, would you rather Zhang, with her control and con, be leading this endeavour, or would you rather maybe it be Tavish, who's throwing power into the engines, be the lead on this?
Is it the same roles? Control and con?
For
Maybe.
Zhang, it's going to be control and con, but for Tavish and everyone else who's trying to boost power into the systems, it's probably going to be daring and engineering.
Maybe Tavish should lead then. She has
Okay.
the strongest stat in that case.
Yeah.
Alright, so we've got 1 dice. So we've got 2 dice coming from Tavish, we've got 1 dice coming from Zhang, and that leaves another dice to probably come from Flesk with his parent figure. So another one can come from either Garrow with his warp engines focus, or can come from Gurkha with her usual statistical probability focus.
She's got full pool of momentum.
You do also have
I was for this. If people don't want to get involved in this, I don't mind using a determination.
Oh, do that then, because that's a guaranteed success. Yeah. do that.
So essentially...
Alright. Use cool in a crisis.
Okay. Okay, fine, do it. Alright then, so what I will say is the difficulty will be set by exactly how much power you want to pour into the engines. For every additional point of power that you pour into the engines, you will gain on the additional ship. And you can spend pretty much however much you want from the existing power pool of the ship. But the higher the power, the higher the difficulty, so bear that in mind.
Alright.
So how far up do you want to go?
We have 9 power left.
You do?
I can bring back 5 power if I hit a challenge dice. I do not want to... If this does not work, and depending on... It's going to be more difficult with the power. I don't know. I don't know what a good number is at
Roll
this
a
point.
4-sided die and see how much power we're going to use. Because it'll be between 1 and 4. That's my recommendation.
You want to go random? Then go random. That's fine.
Otherwise I'd say go for 3 or 4.
Connie, Chris, what do you guys think?
Do it.
Roll randomly or go for an actual number between 1 and 4?
I mean, if we're picking a number, I'd say 3 or 4.
So what does everyone else think?
Yeah, I say, yeah, 3 or 4. Go for it.
Yeah.
So
Right,
rather than
let's
3
go.
or 4, give me an actual number.
Let's go
Roll
for
a
4.
two-sided die.
4.
No, let's go,
Go for the full 4?
Go for
Alrighty.
Go
Yeah.
for full 4, yeah.
Go for it.
So there is a terrific thrum of power from the core because, as it turns out, as I learned earlier this week, standard operating procedure for Starfleet is usually only to run your warp cores at 70% or thereabouts as a safety measure. So actually taking that safety feature off and cranking it all the way up to 100% means that the warp core goes from a thwum to a thwum, kind of go. So, the difficulty is now 4 as a result of that's how much power you're going for. Yeah. So, roll them bones.
Okay. I'm using a determination.
So we are just going with Flask,
Liang
Zhang, and
Tavish.
Tavish.
I'm going to use 1.
1 dice from Zhang, please, Mr. Powell. 1 from Flask.
Yay!
Nice. No!
Errant figure!
We ignore that one, okay.
Actually, no, has she got a determination?
She does.
Re-roll it, re-roll it, re-roll it.
Re-roll it. Yeah, we need the points. Re-roll that.
To fly the ship, know the ship, or propulsion is a science, navigation is an art. Let's go with that. Ooh, that's better.
Oh.
Zhang puts her foot down on the accelerator.
Okay,
That's
all
better.
right. Focus.
So it's a little less pressure on Tavish now.
Okay.
Whoa, look at that. Look at that. So that is 5, 6, 7 successes in total, well over and above the 4 you needed. So the whole thing careens forward as power is shunted right into the nacelles.
Can I do
So,
my...
do your thing.
Can I do my talent?
Do your talent.
Alright. 1 dice.
Fingers crossed. Ooh. Alright, so what does that mean?
In addition, when you succeed at a power management task, you restore power equal to your engineering score rather than only 1. You may increase this amount.
That, you were doing roll 1 challenge die. On an effect, you reduce the power requirement by 1 to a minimum of 0.
So it would have gone down to 3.
Rather than 4, okay. We've also got the improved warp drive, which means that Mr. Bell, could I get you to be the ship again and to roll 3 challenge dice?
Okay. Three challenge dice coming.
Alright, 1 effect, which means 1 less power, so yeah, there we go. Alright, so you still had to expend power to do it, but you are starting to pull ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4. As a result, what are they going to do? You start pulling away. Do they succeed? This will tell now whether you succeed to get away from them or not. Successes. Which means they have increased the output of their engines commensurate to your own, but they don't manage to recover any. They actually bleed power. Which means the only thing left is the gravitic caltrop. So this will come down
well,
to...
no, we've not gone away from them. They've not caught up. So we're sort of still travelling towards. We're going to get to Narendra Station.
I'd rather have Garrow take a pot shot at them.
And try and destabilize the thing. You're still some hours away from Narendra Station, so It would be a long haul shot, but let's see if Garrow can do it. So,
Okay.
let's see. Connie, if you could be the Combs and give us weapons and security, and can we have Garrow give us control and security with a focus on shipboard tactical systems?
Has our number 2 got anything to help us with this?
She could always use her presence and command to assist anything, yes. Same goes for the captain, really.
Garrow does have a full determination pool.
Arrow does have a full determination pool as well, and therefore could slam in his determination.
And we have a full momentum.
So, always have an exit strategy would be a good use of Garrow's values.
So I just click on the Starfleet ad thing on the...
No, just knock off one determination, so press number 3. And remember to, when you roll, to check the box saying that you're using determination.
Yep, and focus on...
Shipboard tactical systems, yep.
Yep. 2 dice, or is that 3?
2 dice, unless you want to buy another one with momentum.
I'll just do 2, I think, on this one.
Alright. Let's see how you do. Oh, spectacular! Your altered torpedo, or whatever you want to call it, the gravitic caltrop, is launched and is placed so precisely in their path. In fact, I didn't get somebody to roll. I don't think we need anybody to roll as the ship. It's all Garrow. But Connie, give us the other one. Connie, give us the other roll. Be the ship.
Okay, just the one, yeah.
Just the 1 dice, please. Because, the ship hasn't...
Haven't had a chance. It's pointless.
It was all Garrow. Nevertheless, the gravitic caltrop was released, and therefore, because you got such a high success with creating it, it creates a localized gravitic distortion that essentially knocks them flying out of warp. It drops them completely out of warp, and you are able to power away. You've lost them for the time being. Now you've put so much pressure on your engines, you can keep it up for a good bit longer, but you've now got the lead you need, and it'll be some time before they can actually catch up with you. So we will go with that you have successfully managed to evade them, whoever they were. And eventually you do make it back to Narendra Station. As for what happens to Admiral Stoker, she now seems a good deal more lucid than she was. But she seems also a lot more wary than she was. Admiral Stoker, when she finally departs the Combs, she does, before she leaves, turn around to you all and say, "I might have been wrong, so be careful. Whatever's out there, I'm not sure whether it's benevolent or malevolent. And from what we've just seen with that ship chasing us, there are definitely other people in on this whole escapade that want to stop you." And with that, Stoker is taken away and back into custody. So, what this entails for the rest of your sojourns into the Shackleton Expanse is not yet entirely clear. However, Admiral Hebert, at the very least, seems interested in continuing operations in the Shackleton Expanse. What will happen to Admiral Stoker will have to be left up to a general inquiry from the JAG office, the Judge Advocate General's office. Stoker's actions will more than likely come back to bite her. I mean, she sabotaged another Starfleet ship. She's obviously still not in her right mind. Whether or not the consciousness that you met on that moon has anything to do with why she was not quite within her right mind, you're not sure. What you do know is, according to Stoker, there are more stations out there like the one on that moon. So, who knows what you might find later on in the Expanse. But the story continues. The Combs has managed to get away from another sinister ship without being drawn into an active firefight. which is probably just as well, because you have no idea what that other ship was loaded with. But they certainly didn't seem to be friendly. But we certainly have cause to continue our explorations into the Expanse, which we will continue next time. Now, as a result of that being the end of an episode, we usually give it a break, but Mark is not available next week, and neither Mark nor Dave are available the week after, so it seems like we will be coming back to the Combs on the 10th of March, if everybody is available then.
As far as I know, I'm free then.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Out of thought, out of function.
Excellentes. In that case, I am going to thank everybody who tuned into the stream. Thank you, Suitable Substrate, for watching. I was just about to thank you. You preempt me. Thank you very much. Thanks everybody who watched the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are watching this on YouTube, then consider giving us a like, because it helps not only ourselves, but also, thanks to our Lord and Master, the algorithm might also help out all other guys doing Star Trek and or actual play-related stuff. We will ask you to do like the Vulcans do, and by that I don't mean actually... See you in 3 weeks as well, Suitable Substrate, yes. We will do like the Vulcans do, but in this case we hope you do not actually captain a black ship in order to take down a fellow Starfleet vessel, but instead to live long and prosper, and also to engage in infinite diversity and infinite combinations. Be kind to each other, treat each other with respect, and we will all get through these crazy, crazy times. Thanks very much, everybody. Hailing frequencies are now closed.